Hi everyone, welcome to Phoenician Priestess. This is my very first video on this channel and I'm excited to start this video with a new moon forecast for this Scorpio new moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio. I do Western astrology, just a heads up. You're going to find the timestamps below, so go ahead and click and watch for your rising sign, your sun, and your moon. I'm going to do a video later on that talks about what listening to each one of the different signs can actually help with and diving a little bit more into that. But before you jump ahead and skip all the way to your signs, I really recommend actually watching the intro on this new moon, because this new moon, I feel, is a very, very, very deep, very powerful, and very mystical new moon. And there are lots of unique elements about it. And I'm going to go into that. If you listen to the overall kind of collective energy, you'll be able to apply that in a unique way. But to really understand how a new moon is impacting you most accurately, you really have to look at someone's chart. But still, listening to your rising, your sun, and your moon is going to show you a lot. One thing I want to say as well is even though, you can feel oftentimes the energy of the new moon most potently and the perhaps events unfolding within a few days before and a few days after. I like to say 3 days and 3 days. But new moon energy is supposed to be the seeds planted throughout the whole month. So this is really something that's thematic throughout the whole month. And then 6 months later, when we get the full moon equivalent of this, the full moon in Scorpio, which comes in Taurus season, normally around May, that's when you'll kind of see the story that this new moon this month is planting close or have a conclusion or have a next big step. Now, this is an incredibly powerful new moon because there are very strong themes when it comes to things coming through the veil. What's special about this new moon is it aligns with Halloween, Samhain, and Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Basically, across all cultures around the world, all religions throughout all time, many cultures, religions, and spiritualities share the belief that this time is when the veil between the world is at its thinnest. And it's also the first of the month in October. And so I really believe that this unique setting totally amplifies Scorpio's inherent connection to transformation, to the unknown, to deep intuition. Okay, Scorpio is the most mystical sign out of all of them. Pisces, of course, is as well, but Scorpio is different. Scorpio is the underworld as well. Scorpio is the transmutation from dark into light. It is literally death and rebirth, right? It is Hades. It is Pluto in a way, combined with Mars. And so Scorpio already brings a lot of these themes of the other world, of the mystical, of death, of connecting with the other side, of intuition, of magic. So that is already present. And then to have this new moon then happening when this time frame of the veil between the two worlds being thin, and at 9 degrees of Scorpio. 9, when you look at numerology, especially Chaldean numerology, which comes from the same part of the world as the Phoenicians, is 9 is a number of spiritual completeness and transition, and it really urges the collective to confront what needs closure so we can prepare for new cycles. The number 9 here really brings a message of reaching a spiritual turning point, and in Scorpio, it really magnifies these themes of release and rebirth, urging us to face and accept endings so new growth can take place. Now, I just want to talk over some of the, other big aspects that we can see in this moon on a collective level. And again, you can apply this when you think of your own chart. I talked a little bit about the timing of it, new moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio, the numerological significance of 9, right? The degrees that certain aspects happen and certain kind of celestial events happen is important, right? It's not just that it's happening in the sign of Scorpio. It's like, what degree is it? But this moon is also in a trine to Saturn, and Saturn is currently transiting Pisces, another water sign. Hence the trine. Now, this supportive aspect grounds the collective energy, giving structure to our inner work. Saturn in Pisces really calls for kind of a realistic twist to spiritual practices, a realistic integration to spiritual knowledge, integrating dreams with tangible steps. We're being asked to build a sturdy emotional foundation, trusting that boundaries can actually create freedom. And I want to point out too that Scorpio again is traditionally, and I do have a little preference somewhat to traditional astrology, although I also consider the modern rulers Pluto. But traditionally, Scorpio is ruled by Mars. And Mars is really, so Saturn asks you to ground in a practical way. Mars will ask you to ground with action. And so this trine to Saturn in Pisces is kind of saying the same message here. And each sign will feel this steady grounding energy in a specific area, hinting at a safe space to explore this transformation. Now, what's also interesting about this new moon is it's squaring Pluto. Pluto, like I said, is the second, if you look at modern astrology, the second ruler of the sign of Scorpio. And Pluto right now is still in the critical degree, the final degree of Capricorn, which is a very, very, very big deal. Pluto's critical degree highlights the profound transformation within societal structures if we're talking about how this is affecting the collective as a whole. And, excuse me, my throat. And this square challenges the collective to confront any resistance to change, particularly in areas of authority, power, and personal mastery. These are things that both Pluto and Scorpio talk about: authority, power, and personal mastery. Now, in a lot of my work with a lot of my clients, I really do deal a lot with asteroids and Arabic points. It's something that not a lot of astrologers look at, but I think can give profound value and really deep insight. And I'm going to do future videos going into those. But we actually see this new moon squaring Psyche in Aquarius. Psyche is an asteroid. And this aspect brings a psychological awareness, I would say, especially around things when it comes to community, to ideals. Psyche in Aquarius pushes the collective to question whether our beliefs align with our true essence. Are we living authentically? Are we following societal expectations? So I mentioned Scorpio's main ruler is Mars, and we talked about Pluto a little. We talked about how it's at the critical degree, and it's important to look at what the ruler of this new moon is doing. Now, Mars is at 28 degrees of Cancer. This degree, when you apply it to what's happening with the new moon, it really represents a pivotal emotional decision point. Mars in Cancer relates to protecting the home, emotional boundaries, nurturing. And as it nears Leo, there's going to be a shift from internalized protective energy to outward confidence and expression. And Pluto, the secondary ruler of Scorpio, like we said, is at the critical degree. And like I said again, this emphasizes the dismantling of outdated structures, especially in our sense of security, values, and power dynamics. This is the first new moon that follows the recent Libra eclipse, which dealt with relationships and harmony. And like I said, it's going to culminate. I was going to say accumulate. It's going to culminate with the Taurus full moon in 6 months. So this Scorpio-Taurus polarity really underlines the need for personal transformation that supports lasting stability. Let's use this collective forecast to bring layered, unique insights to each sign's reading. One other thing I want to add, I just remembered after, is the new moon. It's not just, when we talk about the moon in general, and we talk about new, we talk about full, people just think the moon is about emotions and the internal world. But really, what do those two things mean, right? The moon is magic. The moon represents magic. The moon rules magic. And emotions is a currency of magic. Emotions is a currency of manifestation. And the inner world, as within, so without, as above, so below. Your inner world, it's not just talking about, your emotions when it says that. Your inner world creates your outer world. So the cycles of the moon, when we're dealing with new moons, full moons, when we're looking at aspects of the moon, all of this stuff, it's not just saying, oh, you're going to be feeling emotional today. This is the reason why, planting new intentions with the new moon is like planting new seeds. That's the reason full moons often culminate, I was going to say, the other C word, sorry, culminate in like big events. It's because the moon rules magic, and the moon is magic, and your internal world dictates a lot of that, and your emotions also dictate that, right? They magnify what comes forward, what goes away to you, what comes to you, but also your emotions tie you to your intuition, and your emotions are the language of intuition. And that's why around these times, intuition is often heightened, especially the fact that this is happening in Scorpio season, it's a Scorpio new moon, and especially during this important time of the veil being thinner. Aries, you are the very first sign I'm recording this for, and this is actually the second time I spoke for a full 10 minutes, not knowing I was not recording. I have learned my lesson. Oh my God, I hope it comes out as good this time. Okay, take two. This is your forecast for the Scorpio new moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio, happening on November 1st in the morning. I realize this is being posted after that, but trust me, I say this in the beginning. If you haven't watched it, I really recommend watching it. But the energy for this, you'll feel it coming before, up to 3 days before, 3 days after. But really, it's talking about the whole month. This is the seed being planted for the whole month. And not just that, but in 6 months' time, we'll reach the culmination on the other, culmination on the other side, when we have the full moon in Scorpio that happens in Taurus season around May normally. And so this is a thematic archetypal theme that is not just relevant for November 1st. Now, if you can, I really, really, again, recommend watching the beginning of this video, because I talk about how this is a really magical, supercharged new moon in a way, not just because it's the first one after we had the new moon eclipse last month, but because it's happening during this timing, of Samhain, Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, when the veil is the thinnest between the worlds. And that is not it's not a coincidence that happens in Scorpio season. So if you can, go watch the beginning, but without further ado, let's dive into it. So this new moon in Scorpio illuminates your 8th house. This is just even more powerful, because guess what? The 8th house is traditionally ruled by Scorpio, meaning a lot of scorpionic elements are present in the 8th house. The 8th house governs transformation, shared resources, deep psychological processes, trauma, transmutation of dark to light, shedding light on things that are hidden, sex, passion, really deep soul merging intimacy. I'm talking like Morticia and Gomez Adams intimacy, which is my favorite kind. Like souls merging into one till death do us part. I think I'm biased towards the 8th house. Can you tell? So it's even like it's amplifying the scorpionic energy by being in the 8th house, right? And further amplified by the other elements of this new moon. So this period is really inviting you to explore profound changes, particularly in all of those areas I mentioned, right? To sum it up, intimacy and those aspects of personal growth. I also forgot to mention financial partnerships. 8th house also rules other people's money, shared resources. This could be from things like, parents, partners. It also, like perhaps financial resources from gaining from legal matters. It could also, the 8th house also rules death and rebirth, but I don't like to mention that per se because some people get scared when I say death, but this could also be metaphorical. We have other key influences that are impacting you along with this new moon because of the new moon's aspects. So this new moon, is ruled by Mars. Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, and Mars right now is at 28 degrees of Cancer in the 4th house. Mars, by the way, if you did not know, is your ruling planet. So you actually share this with Scorpio. You and Scorpio are both the warriors of the zodiac in a way, in very different ways. Kind of Aries is like the bull, right? The warrior that acts first, thinks later, that takes action instantly, that really actions out and goes full charging, like eyes ablaze. And Scorpio is more the warrior that feels the passion burning on the inside and then sits and then comes up with this like very complex, cunning plan. But you're both the warriors, you're both ruled by Mars, and this is a Scorpio moon, so this is again amplifying this new moon for you. But this is all happening, right? Mars is at 28 degrees of Cancer, very, very sensitive, watery sign, a very opposite archetype to what we just described. And in the fourth house, traditionally associated and ruled by Cancer. The fourth house is the house of home, the house of family, the house of sometimes mother, or the feminine kind of energy is also here. The house of your internal world, your emotions, very associated with the moon. This placement suggests a focus on domestic matters and emotional foundations of where this newness might be coming in, this change might be coming in, where your intentions here would have more powerful kind of potential for growth. And this critical degree, 28 almost to 29, right? Soon we're going to be going into Leo of Mars, is also urging you to address unresolved family issues. That might be coming up, right? Or to redefine your sense of security before Mars transitions into Leo, because that will bring a shift towards self-expression and creativity. Now, this moon is also trining Saturn in Pisces, which is in your 12th house. Now, Saturn's supportive trine from your 12th house enhances introspection and spiritual growth. This alignment is asking you right now, around this time frame, it's calling you, it might be pushing you in other ways. You might be already feeling called to do this, or if things feel a little bit out of control, or your emotions are a bit too up and down, or the events happening in other things like those 8th house stuff. If you need to ground it in some way, right, Saturn is telling you how to ground. And here it's asking you to establish healthy boundaries and also to release subconscious patterns that no longer serve you, fostering a deeper connection with your inner self. And it's also asking you to bring some of that practicality and structure via bringing practicality and structure to 12th house-like activity, to Piscean-like activities, which is things like having a strong spiritual practice like meditation or visualization or grounding or prayer or whatever that is. The 12th house talks about all of those things, and it's important in all of that ways. It's really an invitation to develop a daily spiritual practice or introspective habit that fosters inner stability. Now, we also have Pluto, the second ruler of Scorpio, when we consider its modern ruler, in Capricorn. And not just that, but this Scorpio new moon is actually squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So not only are we looking at what the second ruler is doing, but it's actually, this new moon is aspecting its second ruler in a square. Now, squares don't fear, a lot of people fear them because yes, it may present, it's a challenging aspect. So it may present challenges in your professional life or with authority figures or with your reputation or standing in society, your community, or with kind of your vocation. But normally the challenges that come with squares always kind of are here to bring growth or something positive after. People always skip the happy ending to that part. This aspect is calling for reassessment of your career goals, public image, urging you to align your ambitions with your core values and authentic self. I need some water. Second time doing this. Okay, so I work a lot with a lot with asteroids and Arabic points. These are two celestial elements that I think a lot of astrologers overlook, but have such profound meaning and depth when we use them in the chart. I'm going to do future videos on those. But right now, we also have this new moon squaring Psyche in Aquarius, which is in your 11th house. Now, the square to Psyche in your 11th house brings attention to your social circles and community involvement and your values somehow. And it's a time for you where things are coming up, where you're being kind of asked to evaluate whether your associations support your personal growth, reflect your values, or if adjustments are needed to foster more meaningful connections. So, all in all, this new moon encourages you to embrace transformation in your personal and shared resources, in your intimacy, in your transmutation of the dark to light, in looking at your deepest and darkest fears, in your relationship with the mystical, and to focus on healing emotional wounds, redefining your sense of security, and aligning your professional aspirations with your true self, and engaging in this kind of introspective spiritual practices to release those old patterns and will really help you cultivate deeper, more authentic relationships, but also more authentic relationship with yourself and relationships with kind of the spiritual and with good things overall coming into your life. Hello, my Tauruses, suns, moons, and risings. Well, this new moon in Scorpio, happening at 9 degrees of Scorpio on November 1st, activates your seventh house. Seventh house is the area of partnerships, relationships, one-on-one connections, legal issues, things like that. I want to say too, because I think this is going to go live after November 1st, new moons, it's not like a one-day thing. On that day, perhaps events may unfold most commonly on that day, 3 days before, 3 days after. Maybe the energies of these archetypes, of these kind of subjects can start to be very present. Maybe they are very noticeable that day. Maybe your thoughts are taking you in that direction. But like when, you plant, the new moon is kind of like a period where the seed is put into the soil, and that whole month before the next new moon, that becomes the big theme. So you're planting a seed for this whole month, or even if you don't have to plant it, the universe is planting it for you. And honestly, up until the full moon for this cycle, so the Scorpio full moon, which will be happening in Taurus season, which is most of May, that's really the culmination point of this. Now, if you haven't, I really recommend watching the intro on this of this new moon, because this is a very special, very potent new moon. I go into the oh my gosh, I should not record these at night. The numerological significance of it being at 9 degrees of Scorpio, and also during this period that is really the veil between this world and the next. And so I recommend watching that. But if not, without further ado, let's go into yours. So what is this new moon bringing for you? One other thing I want to point out is don't be discouraged if it doesn't bring things tied to the subject directly. Oftentimes it will start to switch up your life in ways that start to make room for these things as well. This is really a time where the universe is going to be introducing opportunities to explore new levels of depth, new levels of intimacy, new levels of commitment. Definitely a likely time to bring in new partnership, and, new relationships, new romance. And it's not the kind of like less serious vibration of romance, like the fifth house vibration. It's really, seventh house is about partnership. Seventh house is traditionally ruled by Libra, and Libra is the sign that Librans are the lovers of the zodiac. So seventh house, and Librans are the ones, really, Libra represents marriage, and seventh house also represents marriage. So this is like, when we say new romance, this is what we mean when we talk about it. New potentials, new ideas, maybe perhaps for yourself on what it means. If you're already in a relationship, it could be bringing your relationship to new levels, bringing up things that allow you to further your depth, your intimacy, your commitment. It's really a time that is bringing about an opportunity to shed outdated patterns in relationships for you, and allowing space for meaningful transformational connections, whether they're coming in, whether they're expanding, whether they're healing, whether they're changing, or whether things are being asked to be up-leveled in your life, and for you to have certain internal transformations, or otherwise life transformations that may not necessarily seem relevant, but that will in fact allow that seventh house energy to have new seeds planted. Now, it's important to not just look at what house is being activated for what new things are coming with this new moon, but it's also important to see what the ruler of the moon is doing, but also how the moon is being aspected, or what it's aspecting. So Mars, the traditional ruler of Scorpio, is at 28 degrees of Cancer, which happens to be in your third house. What does this mean for what might be coming to you with this new moon, this kind of next month until the next new moon, and as time goes on at a lower vibrations rate until the cycle is fulfilled 6 months from now. So Mars in your third house highlights communication and daily interactions. This placement suggests that any shifts in your relationships may begin with how you communicate and express yourself. So you see how that ties together. The almost critical degree here, because soon enough, we're going to be at 29 degrees of Cancer and then into Leo. So it really hints at a breakthrough in how you assert your voice in setting the stage for healthier, more honest conversations that bring clarity and understanding in partnership. Now, Mars is also action, right? Mars is the god of war. And it's the ruler of Mars is the ruler of your seventh house. And remember, seventh house is partnership, seventh house is marriage, seventh house is really like deep, soulful connections. And, as other astrologers say, not just romance, but also like really, if it's going to be friendship, it's going to be the soul kind. But really, honestly, I'm not gonna cut the BS for people who hate to talk about love. A lot of it's to do with love, that deep soul love, partnership, like really, it really is. And so Mars is also action. And so for a lot of you, especially being at this point, about to transition into Leo, being at this degree, it's really suggesting in your third house, it's kind of suggesting that part of the change or the new seeds that might be planted are being planted somehow to do with third house themes, which is communication, technology, social media, short-term trips, kind of concept of daily routine, your own projects, and messages. You could be hearing from someone you've been wanting to hear to, or you're getting the nudge to reach out to someone. You could receive some news, some letter, some email, some text, some voice note, a phone call. You could see something on social media. You could meet someone on a dating app. It's things like this. Now, we also have the ruler of this new moon, Mars, trining Saturn in Pisces, which is in your 11th house. Now, Saturn in your 11th house really provides a supportive influence because it's a trine, and it's kind of encouraging you to align with like-minded individuals who share your aspirations. This trine really strengthens your social network, and it allows you to lean on trusted friends and supportive communities as you navigate these relationship changes. Now, this new moon trining Saturn is also kind of like bringing structure, bringing responsibility, bringing commitment, bringing ways where that kind of like masculine structured approach can bring groundedness and growth. And this trine is a harmonious link. And so it's saying that this Saturnian approach with a Piscean flair, with these 11th house topics of your community, your friendships, your social networks, also your social media. 11th house is also technology. It's also your values. This is also a key to kind of help with that seed of the 7th house, new relationships, partnerships, relationship growth. It's a key. It's one of the keys that helps there. And all of these, leaning on all of these, will help you navigate this growth and changes, or will help bring about it somehow, right? We also have the second ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, the modern ruler, which is currently in the final critical degree of Capricorn, squaring Mars. And that is coming through your 9th house. And the square from Pluto in your 9th house challenges your belief and philosophical outlook. It's time to ask yourself, are there rigid beliefs about relationships, again, tying back to that 7th house new moon theme, or commitments that need reevaluation? This aspect urges you to adopt a more flexible mindset, which can enrich and deepen your connections. Now, this is coming about because a square is a more, in some way, challenging aspect, but it's a challenging aspect that in the end leads to good things and growth. This could also indicate that, perhaps if there's an existing partner, these 9th house themes or Capricornian themes may be causing challenges between you guys, whether it's different beliefs, whether it's distance, maybe coming from different religions, different cultures, different philosophical outlook, things like that. Now, I work a lot with asteroids and also Arabic points, and it's something that a lot of astrologers, I think, undervalue the importance and the impact of. And I'm going to make a video about that soon. But this new moon is actually squaring Psyche and Aquarius, which is hitting your 10th house. With Psyche in your 10th house, there's a big focus on your public image and your professional life, your reputation, your vocation, and all of these 10th house topics. And it raises the question of how your relationships influence or kind of reflect upon those goals. Are you showing up authentically in both personal and professional settings? This alignment really prompts you to consider how your relationships might be affecting your broader life, your purpose, and your legacy, but also vice versa. Is your job, is your vocation, is your professional life, is your place that you deem in society kind of having a negative or challenging or friction-based impact on your goals when it comes to new relationships, having a relationship, or an existing relationship? These are things that are coming up with this new moon and that the universe is asking you to kind of explore, be aware of these imbalances, to fix them or to learn from them, and from that learning to go to the next level. So in summary, this new moon is really a chance to redefine your approach to partnerships and to communicate openly about your needs and values. By examining and releasing limiting beliefs about relationships, you'll find yourself building stronger and more fulfilling connections. Lean into community for support and really embrace the depth that is Scorpio energy. And that really will allow the opportunity for authentic bonds to flourish. This is the time where you very likely might have new romances stirring up or existing romances elevate to the next level. But keep in mind what we talked about when it came to your 10th house, 9th house, and 11th house, and also the 3rd house aspects when we were talking about all these other things that are affecting this new moon, as to tools and ways that this new beginning can come about. Hello, Gemini, rising, suns, and moons. Okay, so this new moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio brings transformative energy to your 6th house. The 6th house governs daily routines, health, work, and service to others. But I also want to point out, if you haven't listened to the intro at the beginning where I go into, I really recommend it. But otherwise, without further ado, let's jump into your forecast of the new beginnings that this new moon is bringing, the themes that are coming up, the lessons. It might be asking you to explore the parts in your life. It might be pushing you to reassess and to bring about these new beginnings. Other thing I will say is, because I'm probably, this will be posted after November 1st, is the new moon energy is not a one-day thing. The thematic buildup will start around 3 days before and can continue more strongly around 3 days after. And you can see some of these themes physically in your life in terms of actual events unfolding, people coming in very strongly in this time frame. But honestly, the new moon is kind of a seed being planted for the entire month until the next new moon. And beyond that, it's a cycle that will kind of continue, and you won't see, and then, we'll either go to the next level or kind of come to a conclusion in 6 months when the full moon for this, so the Scorpio full moon, which will happen in Taurus season, which is most of May, that's when this theme the seed here will either go to the next level or kind of close. So what I mean to say is, it's not just a one-day thing. Listening to this after the 1st is incredibly impactful, because this is for your whole month, especially with a lot of these aspects that this moon is going through, and especially with this time frame as well. Okay, so this new moon is really inviting you to reassess your approach to your physical and mental wellness, as well as your work habits. It's really a time to dive deep and consider if your routines and work environment truly serve your growth, potentially letting go of practices or commitments that drain you. It's a time to reevaluate maybe things like your diet, to start a new routine, to start maybe a new work environment or a new work habit, a new role. You might even be getting new coworkers, changes at work happening in this time. This is also a house that rules pets. So it could be getting a new pet, or things kind of happening with pets. And it's also about service to others. So a time where people can lean on you to nurture. Maybe you're seeing that happen a lot. And this is really a great time as well if you're really trying to start a new exercise regimen or a new diet or a new supplement or things like that. You could find your mind going there a lot. The time frame of this happening, when the veil is the thinnest, this indicates that any intuition you're having to do with these things, to do with daily routine, health, work, fitness, structure, diet, service to others, pets, any intuition you're having in this time is going to be more like it's really it's coming through from something higher, something for you to really listen to all those nudges that are coming in that way, if it's not straight up events that are changing. Now, Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, the traditional ruler, is at 28 degrees of Cancer, which is your second house. And so this is going to be playing an influence because it's the ruler of this new moon. It will also be adding flavor to the new beginnings and to the energetic nudges that you'll be getting for this month. Mars in your second house of finances and also second house of values and also real estate really places a focus on reassessing how you allocate your resources, both physical and emotional. The critical degree here, almost critical because it's almost a 29, really highlights a turning point in how you view your self-worth and what you value in your day-to-day, right? Day-to-day, because tying again back to the sixth house, because that's where the new moon is taking place. So this could be a time for you to assertively pursue stability or a more supportive sixth house routine approach to financial matters. We also have this new moon trining Saturn in Pisces, which hits your 10th house. Now, with Saturn in your 10th house of career, this trine really offers structure and support for your professional endeavors. The 10th and 6th house can have a little bit of a link, with 10th house being career, vocation, reputation in society, and 6th house being kind of the day-to-day aspect of work. And coworkers and things like that. So this alignment gives you the discipline to create a routine or system that aligns with your long-term career aspirations. Saturn is discipline. Saturn is authority. Saturn is a need for you to bring more structure and to bring more commitment and to bring more routine. And so this harmonious trine with Saturn that the new moon is having is supporting you in all those sixth house things we talked about, where there is newness coming. Things like new diet, new structure, work-life balance, things like that. Like this trine with Saturn is bringing a very strong need for structure, but also very strong leaning towards it. You're very supported here to start all of this new stuff. And a lot of, because tying back to the 10th house, a lot of that will also benefit your long-term career and vocational aspirations. And so you might be having new beginnings that are really encouraging that. Saturn in here is encouraging you to really build a sustainable work-life balance, is giving you opportunities to set boundaries that allow for both productivity and for self-care. And with a Piscean touch, because remember, Pisces is about intuition, but it's also about helping the underdog, and it's also about spirituality. So any intuitive nudges that you're getting here, again, going to be very, very, very strong, including any perhaps pull for altruism, for helping the underdog. And that ties with the Virgoan energy in the sixth house of serving others. Now, we also have the second modern ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, is actually getting squared by the new moon in Scorpio. And Pluto right now is transiting Capricorn in the critical 29th degree in your 8th house. Like 8th house is, wow, I love the 8th house. I think it gets a lot of bad rep. But 8th house is the house of transformation, the house of shared resources, the house of debts, deeply held fears, traumas, transmuting dark into light. The 8th house is death, but it's also life. It's also birth. It's rebirth. It's the phoenix rising. It's also intimacy. It's sex. It's passion. It's the merging of two souls. It's until love do us part. It's Morticia and Gomez Adams. That all of that is. It's also ghosts coming out of the middle of nowhere, and it's also very much like Halloween, Dia de los Muertos energy. So the square from Pluto in your 8th house. A square can be a bit of it's often called a challenging aspect because it brings friction. But normally, right, how are diamonds formed? Diamonds are formed through friction. Is that right? I have to Google that. You take a diamond and it has to be roughed before you can have the beautiful clear diamonds that we see. And so that's kind of how I would love for you to think about squares when you see them. Yeah, okay, the aspect brings challenges and ways and obstacles and lessons and friction. But in the end, you're left with a diamond. It does that to bring you growth, to bring you something good. So this aspect to your 8th house is challenging you with this new moon to confront and release old anxieties related to things to do with your sixth house. So really confront and release old anxieties, old fears, old traumas, transmute the darkness to light, to things related to work, productivity, your relationship with your body, your relationship with health, your relationship with routines, or financial partnerships that might be holding you back from truly embracing a healthier and more fulfilling daily life, health life, work life, etc. Now, I work a lot with asteroids and Arabic points that I think are very much overlooked and undervalued by most astrologers, and I'll make a video on that as well. And if you're listening to multiple signs, then you've heard me say this a few times now. But the new moon in Scorpio is also squaring Psyche in Aquarius, and that is squaring, again, we talked about the nature of that aspect, but that is an energetic tie to your ninth house, where there's friction between that and the new moon in your sixth. So with Psyche in your ninth, this aspect really highlights right now and is bringing up the importance of your beliefs and your philosophies. And it's really prompting you to ask if your routine, your daily life, your health, your meaning, your work, when you wake up, what you do, what you're putting your time towards, what you're serving, if it is aligning with a greater purpose or meaning. Are you investing your time in ways that expand your understanding of the world and support your growth? And it's bringing up chances for you in this month to really explore routines that nurture your intellectual and spiritual needs. It's a great opportunity to introduce a spiritual practice into your daily routine, but to also introduce that ninth house energy of exploration, of adventure, of philosophy, of the kind of higher realms of education, of learning, of curiosity, of foreignness as well into your daily routines. And those aspects can have an answer that you might be looking for some of your health and fitness and body and work woes. New seeds might be coming, those new seeds for your sixth house, which means like those new beginnings to do with your health, body, daily routine, work, etc., could be coming through some challenges and friction that you're having with these ninth house things like travel, philosophy, difference in belief. You could be being asked to change your belief system on something. For example, this is just an example. If you were vegan, you might be, and your health suffered, or maybe you're being asked to go carnivore, and vice versa. If you're a carnivore and your health suffered, maybe you're being asked to go vegan. These are things that have to do with the sixth house, diet and routine, right? But they are tied to your philosophies. And this is an example of how friction to do with these ninth house topics, philosophy, travel, beliefs, religion, spirituality, higher education, even astrology, are bringing about positive new beginnings once that friction is confronted into your sixth house topics. This new moon is really encouraging you and bringing about opportunities and beginnings to reimagine your daily routines and approach to health in ways that truly genuinely support your well-being. Focus on building habits that align with your values and support your long-term career goals in life, but be open to transforming how you engage with work and wellness, and release any habits or obligations that don't serve your highest good. And that will really empower you for the next month to 6 months. Cancer, your new moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees is in your fifth house, the fifth house of romance, of flings, of creative expression, of children, of your inner child, of leadership, of entrepreneurship, of creatives, of creating, of self-embodiment, of writing. Well, writing is really third and ninth, but in a way that's creating is an art. So it could be, we could say it's here as well, creating of creating of all natures, of acting, of having the spotlight on you, of joy, of self-expression. That is where you're going to be seeing new beginnings, whether seeing them externally with events, with opportunities, with changes in your life, or feeling very strong internal pushes, internal nudges. And those nudges and pushes aligning with this new moon, it's not just coming from you, it's coming from something bigger. And these are the nudges that you should really follow. Now, if you haven't watched the beginning, I'm saying this for all the signs because especially because I think this is going to be posted after November 1st. But the new moon isn't just about one day. All of these new things, these energies, you can feel the energy build up 3 days before the new moon to 3 days after. But really, it's about planting a seed in this time that is going to be the theme for this next month. And actually, it's a little bit of a 6-month cycle until the full moon in Scorpio happening in Taurus season around May. So the seeds planted in this time are going to, you'll see them kind of, you're planting seeds for cycle for 6 months to do, and you could plant intentions for anything, right? But you will feel the push, you'll feel the pull, and you'll get an extra bit of support when it comes to these kinds of things. So this is really a time to reconnect with what brings you genuine happiness, exploring any passions or creative pursuits you may have set aside. And it's also an invitation to really also transform how you approach pleasure, creativity, and even romantic connections, encouraging you to follow what lights you up. So, this could talk about new beginnings too. You might be meeting someone new. You might be going on new dates. You might be feeling called to go on dating apps, to go dancing. You might be having people ask you out. And go for it. Fifth house style of romance and intimacy and sex. Fifth house is more about light. It's more about the beginning phases or the flings or the romance in a way that's different than the kind of seventh house aspects of relationships. Seventh house is more about very serious relationship, very deep marriage style, lifelong partnerships. And the fifth house kind of version of intimacy, of passion, is different than the eighth house that talks about sex and passion. That kind of, like the eighth house version of that is very deep, very intense, very like Tantra and Kama Sutra and Gomez and Morticia Adams. Whereas with the fifth house, it's more about, I would say, the lighter aspects of that. And it doesn't mean that it can't grow to more, but there's definitely a difference in that energy. But because for you, this is a Scorpio new moon, which is again, a Scorpio, think of that eighth house energy. So for you, it's actually bringing some of that intensity with it, which is pretty great. Now, this ruler of this new moon is Mars, the traditional ruler. And Mars right now is at 28 degrees of Cancer, which is your first house. With Mars in your first house of identity, of the self, of the body, of looks, of appearance, of the first house also says like the lens that you kind of view the world and the world views you, and that kind of initial mask that the world sees of you. This placement really highlights a renewed focus on self-expression, tying that with the fifth house new moon and asserting your needs confidently. The critical degree emphasizes a pivotal movement in redefining who you are, especially in how you show up in creative pursuits or romantic relationships. With this new moon, you might be feeling a surge of confidence, urging you to really stand out and embrace your individuality. We also have this new moon trining Saturn in Pisces, which is transiting your ninth house. And trine is a harmonious aspect. It's a good thing. And so this Saturn in Pisces is bringing kind of a supportive energy and is kind of a key a flavor in this new moon in Scorpio for you. So Saturn in your ninth house really offers support for long-term growth in areas related to belief systems, higher learning, and adventure. And so this trine with the new moon in Scorpio suggests that really embracing your kind of creative side, your inner child side, your joyful side, that very fifth house side, and exploring your passions will also be tied to expanding your perspective on life and your greater spiritual perspective, and possible also opportunities for travel. It's a time to balance discipline and exploration, finding joy in meaningful experiences that broaden the worldview. Now, we also have the second ruler, the modern ruler of Scorpio of this new moon, is actually Pluto. And Pluto right now, transit Pluto, is being squared by this new moon. And Pluto is in the critical degree, 29 degrees of Capricorn, which is your seventh house. Now, this is interesting because seventh house is the house, as I mentioned earlier, that has to do with really like lifelong relationships, marriage, deep relationships, serious relationships. It's the house of partnerships, also legal issues, as everyone likes to point out, and the house of marriage as well. And a square is viewed as a negative aspect, and I don't like that as much. It should really, yes, it brings challenges. It's a friction. It's an aspect of friction, but it has friction because it's creating something good, and you have to go through that challenge and the friction. And if you go through it the right way, there's free will here, of course, but it's supposed to bring growth and something good after that. So this square from Pluto in your seventh house of partnerships is really calling you to reassess dynamics in relationships. And especially because, again, it's connecting your fifth and seventh houses. It's connecting that light energy of romance with that more serious energy, but it's connecting it with friction. So you may be challenged to let go of control or power struggles that limit your connections and that are limiting you to enjoy relationships. And this connection between your fifth and seventh house right now is also indicating that potential things that have to do with fifth house style relationships are connected to seventh house style. What does this mean? It means maybe someone, a new beginning starting here, could end up leading to a more serious relationship. Or maybe it could even mean things like, because Pluto is transformation, and there's a square happening here, and Capricorn asks for structure. It could also mean like if you're in a less serious relationship dynamic, or maybe like friends with benefits, or on and off with someone, or you're having relationship issues or confusion or commitment issues, this square is bringing an opportunity to work through those. Either by asking you to let go of those control issues or power struggles, or asking you to ask for what you really want and challenging the relationship to go to that seventh house, to go to that next level. This energy is really inviting deeper transformation in how you relate to others, but what you also want for yourself, and allowing for partnerships that really honor your individuality and creativity. And it could also be meaning that maybe in your relationships, you're holding part of your true self back. And that's inhibiting it in some way. Now, I personally work a lot with asteroids and what are called Arabic points. I'm going to make a video about that. But a lot of astrologers tend to kind of glide over them. And I think they really undervalue how important and profound they can be when looked at charts. And I'll go into that again in another video. But this new moon is actually squaring Psyche, which is an asteroid. And Psyche right now is passing through Aquarius, which is your eighth house. I believe I talked a little bit about the eighth house already when I was talking about the intimacy aspect. But I love the eighth house. I think it gets a lot of bad rep. It gets a lot of bad rep because, it's associated with death and trauma. But it's also birth, rebirth, and it's also transmutation of dark to light. It is the phoenix rising. It is also sex. It's passion. It's also really like soul combining love, soul combining intimacy and commitment. It is death do us part. It is Gomez and Morticia Adams. It is Gomez being obsessed with Morticia. It is, it's the phoenix rising. It's a lot of really passionate, deep, profound things, and it's shedding light onto dark. And so here, Psyche in the eighth house is bringing psychological depth and exploration into your intimate life in this month, whether through new beginnings directly or ideas that are coming up into your head, intuitive hits, things like that. You're being called to really examine whether your connections, particularly, my mouth is getting dry, excuse me, your romantic ones, align with your emotional and spiritual needs. This is a period of growth in terms of how deeply you trust, because the eighth house is really about trust as well. How deeply you trust and share with others, especially in romantic or creative partnerships. And this is also indicating that some of that change that's happening in your fifth house may be coming through the result of examining frictions that you might be having with your needs of the eighth house. So this moon new moon is really encouraging you to reconnect with joy, with self-expression, with romance in a way that really aligns with your true self and aligns with your inner child again, and aligns with those lighter things while still having that scorpionic depth and authenticity. Scorpio is a no bullshit sign, and so it's asking you to be no bullshit as well. Focus on embracing your individuality and really exploring your creative pursuits that offer you fulfillment. It's really a wonderful time to let go of any limitations in relationships and to create space for partnerships that truly honor your unique spirit and growth. This could be a time to start new creative projects, to have big developments in those projects, maybe if you're looking for an agent or something. And with Scorpio, Scorpio is about that death and rebirth energy. So if there's something you've abandoned, but you've been feeling called to bring back to life again, this is a great time for that as well. Hello, Leos. For you, Leo, this new moon in Scorpio happening on November 1st at 9 degrees of Scorpio brings transformative energy to your 4th house. I want to say as well, if you haven't listened to the beginning, I highly recommend it because I go into a lot of extra details about this new moon that you can apply in your own life. And I also want to add that I'm probably going to post this after November 1st, and the new moon will be November 1st, but actually these seeds being planted, it's not a one-day thing. The energy really, I like to think of it as 3 days before the new moon to 3 days after in terms of the highest potency of when you might be getting these downloads, these nudges, these opportunities, and when it would be the most fertile time in a way to sow the seeds. But this is something that is representative from this new moon until before the next new moon in Sagittarius. So it's really the whole month that these themes have a higher place in your life, and that it's an opportunity for new beginnings in this area of your life. And if we take it a step further, I would even say really until the cycle closes, when we have the full moon in Scorpio happening in Taurus season in 6 months, that these intentions you really plant now, the things that come up now, the themes of now, will either reach a culmination in 6 months and go to the next level, or the cycle, lesson, etc. will close. So for you, Leo, this new moon is all about new beginnings, intentions, and focus on home, family, emotional foundations. 4th house also rules motherhood and is also the internal world. So this is really an ideal time for you to set intentions around creating a secure, nurturing environment, whether it's making changes to your physical space, addressing family dynamics, or cultivating a stronger sense of inner peace. You may find yourself motivated to make your home a real sanctuary, or to connect more deeply with family members. This could be a time where things could be happening that are giving you opportunities to fix things with family, to connect more with family, to work on your house. Maybe you're moving homes, maybe you're buying a new home, maybe you're fixing up homes. But Scorpio is about death and rebirth. Scorpio is about endings leading to beginnings, right? Not just endings, it's cyclical. It's also about looking at going into the underworld and pulling out your demons and transmuting them into light. It's about looking at your fears, your traumas, your darkness, the things you're avoiding, and again, bringing that to the light, shedding light on it, and making it something good. It's about alchemizing a lot. It's also the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's also immense passion, and that kind of soul to soul, soul merging intimacy. And Scorpio is also about connection to higher realms and heightened intuition and perception that's able to zoom out and see the big picture. So apply all of that, what I said, to aspects of family, to aspects of household. So maybe you have roommates, not necessarily family, or maybe you live with a partner, to aspects of having a home in the physical sense as well, like where you actually live, your flat, your apartment, your condo, your house, whatever. And also your internal world, your emotional world, that is your internal home. And so this whole death and rebirth, this whole transmutation, alchemization thing, it really talks about, if we apply it to family, fixing a lot of family issues. Heaven forbid, like, I wouldn't take it towards death in the family. Maybe it could mean that, not necessarily, that is more like full moon vibes. But even then, that doesn't have to be the case. That's a very literal translation of applying this. And I would not apply it this way. Maybe you'll hear some astrologers say that, and maybe that spooked you. But it definitely can be a birth. It definitely can also be a pregnancy, by the way. A new moon in Scorpio in the 4th house, to me, big pregnancy vibes. Or maybe if your baby was meant to be a Libra, and then suddenly it's a bit later. And so it could be being born around this new moon, vice versa. Maybe it's coming a bit early to be around this new moon, and everything's going to be fine. It's because it's really about new beginnings when it comes to family, maybe fixing relationships, and again, also fixing homes. Maybe you're being pushed to move somewhere new, and that push is coming with something that looks like it might not be good happening to your home, like a repair that needs to be fixed, or an issue with your landlord, and that pushes you to move and find a greater place. Things like that. It's also important to understand what the ruler of this new moon is doing, and this ruler, Scorpio's ruler, is Mars, which is hot. And kidding. Well, not really. And Mars right now is transiting Cancer, and at the exact time of the new moon, Mars is at 28 degrees of Cancer. And then as the month progresses, it'll be at 29, and then it will, which is the critical degree, and then it will move into Leo. Cancer for you is in your 12th house. So with Mars in your introspective 12th house, the house that also represents introspection, mental health, isolation, spiritual practice, spirituality in a sense, so different than the 9th house sense of spirituality, more about like the actual connection, the communing with spirit, and also supporting the underdog, altruism, these kind of things. And kind of idealism as well. Here you're being supported in releasing old emotional baggage and facing hidden patterns or fears that affect your sense of security. And that even emphasizes more that it's a pivotal time for letting go of past family issues, forgiving yourself and others, and embracing a fresh emotional start. You might be actually isolating a lot at this time in your home. You could be isolating away from your household, and you could be isolating away from your family. And here you're getting a push to kind of rekindle or get out of that shell, or use your introspection to help you. We also have this new moon is trining Saturn in Pisces, and Pisces is transiting your 8th house. And a trine is a harmonious aspect. So 8th house is all about shared resources. It's also about transformation, also about passion, intimacy, sex. And it's also about, did I say shared resources? I think I did. Basically, that means other people's money as well. And so this could be helping you set new boundaries and deepen your emotional resilience. This could be you getting money to invest in your home, to invest in your personal life, if you're in your family life from someone else. This could be you perhaps buying a home with someone else. This could be you finding ways to handle finances in a shared setting, or delve into emotional healing practices that really strengthen your foundation. Saturn is all about responsibility, and it's about commitment, and it's about order, and it's about organization. And so this trine here in your 8th house as well, which is re-emphasizing that idea of a cycle and death and rebirth, is kind of saying that if you're doing something over again, if this is your second chance, or if something looks like it's gone down and you want to push it back up again, or have a transformation in something, discipline, responsibility is really key here. And then we have the second ruler of Scorpio, the modern ruler Pluto, currently in Capricorn, in the critical degree at 29th degrees. And the new moon is actually squaring Pluto here. And a square is what I like to say is a friction-based aspect. So not necessarily bad, but the energy is friction-based, comes in the form of obstacles and lessons. But overall, right, using free will of how we transmute that, it can definitely lead to something good. And often it's here to push you towards something good. And so Pluto's square from your sixth house brings up challenges or transformations related to your daily routines, work-life balance, and health. And this could be prompting you to reevaluate how your habits are supporting you or hindering you when it comes to your emotional peace. Letting go of routines or responsibilities that don't align with your values can create more harmony at home. And this could be saying that maybe some things happening at home in your family life are affecting your daily routine, are affecting your work life, are affecting your physical health. And so it's opportunities for you through that tension to create a new beginning that's better. We also have this new moon squaring Psyche in Aquarius, which is your seventh house of love and partnerships and marriage. Listen, I love love, so I always get a bit more excited when we deal with the houses and things to do with that. Psyche is an asteroid. I work a lot with my clients when it comes to chart analysis or forecasting, predictive forecasting with asteroids and also with Arabic points. And a lot of other astrologers, I don't mean this with shade, I just mean it objectively, I think don't even look at or totally undervalue or label these things as less important. And I actually think asteroids can and Arabic points can be so powerful to work with. I'm going to make a whole video on that. But Psyche is one of them. Anyway, so here we have a square, again, that frictional aspect with the new moon to Psyche. And it's happening in your seventh house of partnership. So this aspect is really encouraging a new beginning for you in how you approach relationships. If you are single, it's how you approach it overall. Maybe you're getting the opportunity to evaluate your own psyche and your own sense of how grounded you are in yourself and your emotions when you are faced with new relationships developing or people coming in. If you are existing in a relationship, this could be a chance to have a new beginning within that, like a new chapter, a new way to do things, a new way for you to connect with each other, a new way to perceive the relationship. And again, it's maybe you're moving in with a partner. Maybe there's a new chapter within you guys living together. You may consider how your closest connections contribute to or detract from your sense of security. It's a good time to work on nurturing balance, really balanced, harmonious partnerships that align with your goals for a stable home life. This could also mean maybe you and your partner are having serious discussions that might be bringing a bit of tension about home life, about who's living where, who's moving in with who, what house to buy, starting a family, or how a pregnancy is going, or their support within that, all of that. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just bringing an opportunity for you to get greater balance when it comes to that. Okay. Anything else I want to say about that? I think that's it. So this new moon is really calling you to create a foundation of emotional security and peace. It's a really powerful time for you to set intentions around creating a comforting and peaceful home environment, letting go of any family patterns or emotional baggage that no longer serve you, setting intentions as well around if you want to get pregnant, for anyone this might be relevant to, or you want better relationship, familial relationships overall. Who knows, set the intention now and you might be getting pregnant within the next 6 months by the Scorpio full moon. In time, it's also a great time for you to set intentions when it comes to building routines that support your well-being, both physically and mentally, especially if they take place around the home and the household. So things like morning routine, nighttime routine, cooking routines, parsing out chores, things like that. It's also a great time to set intention if you're looking for a new home, especially with the Scorpio energy, like especially maybe a fixer upper, some things like that. Also a great time to set intention if you want to do home projects, for finding contractors, for starting a project, and also strengthening close relationships, focusing on mutual support and understanding. And if you're having any issues when it comes to relationships, roommates, families, it's a time where it could either be coming up in a problematic way for you to fix it, or there could be suddenly feeling like a new leaf has turned by itself and there's this kind of new energy ushering in a new beginning. So overall for Leos, this is a time to ground yourself internally, home-wise, and household / family wise, and creating a home and inner world that really nurtures and sustains your spirit. Hello, my lovely Virgos. I actually have a lot of Virgo in my chart. This new moon in Scorpio happening on November 1st at 9 degrees of Scorpio is bringing fresh energy to your third house, which focuses on communication, learning in your immediate environment. It could even be short trips around. It could also be siblings, and a lot more. I'm going to talk all about that. But before I get into that, I want to say, especially because I think this video will be coming out after the 1st of November, that a new moon isn't just about one day. It's not just about November 1st. The archetypal energy of those themes will likely be coming up 3 days before to 3 days after, with possible new beginnings and instantly erupting in that time frame. But really, we should think about it as a seed that's being planted throughout the whole month, and then even beyond that to a certain point for the next 6 months until the next full moon in Scorpio, which will happen in Taurus season around May. So listen to this anytime, really, anytime in this month, but also anytime in the next 6 months to a certain extent, to really understand. But these are the energies that you can really work with. But even if you don't do anything, you'll see, you should be seeing at least in your life, that these energies, one way or another, are playing out. And when we talk about new moons, I'm going to talk about so much more of how we're understanding how this is coming in. And of course, for more detailed interpretation, getting a personal reading is the best because your chart is different. But I still want to go into other details. So to start off, expect opportunities for new beginnings in how you connect with others, how you share ideas, or even learn something entirely new. This period may inspire you to explore new subjects, to take a course, or to reach out to people in ways that transform your connections and your mindset. You could be, third house is also like lower concepts of communication, meaning like more detailed things. You could be getting new emails, new messages that really kind of shake up things in your life. Scorpio energy. Scorpio is a lot about transformation. It's also a lot about very deep levels of spirituality. It's also about the phoenix rising, the dark being transmuted to the light. And it's also about death and rebirth. And so having a new moon, a new beginning in your third house, which is also siblings, you could be having things like maybe your sibling has a new beginning in their life, or your sibling gives birth, or you go meet your new niece or nephew. Or I just realized that's actually what happened to me this week. But it, third house also rules social media. So it could be new beginnings there as well. And it, maybe things you've abandoned that had to do with your social media, with a course you're taking, talking to someone, is being brought back to life. That scorpionic energy of coming back to life, of renewal. Now, the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. And to really understand the energy of this new moon, we have to look at what Mars is doing at the same time. Free little astrological professional astrologer trick here. Okay, so Mars right now is at 28 degrees of Cancer, which for you is your 11th house. So Mars energizing your 11th house, tying that back to your new moon in your third house, it's really suggesting new developments in social circles or within a community project. You might also find yourself stepping up as a leader in a group setting, or initiating an idea that brings people together. And 28 degrees is almost the critical degree. Soon Mars is going to be at 29, and then it will move into Leo. So this signifies a push that you're feeling throughout this month to strengthen bonds with like-minded individuals who share your vision of the future. Now, this new moon is also trining, which is a positive aspect. It's a harmonious aspect. Saturn in Pisces. Saturn right now is transiting Pisces. Now, Pisces, my lovely Virgos, is in your 7th house. My 7th. So listen, I think my two favorite houses, honestly, are the 8th and the 7th. Because A, I love love, and B, I love all the stuff to do with the 8th house. Well, almost all of it, 50%. Anyway, but so your 7th house, this is a really interesting trine because the seventh house is the house of relationships, of partnerships, serious relationships, honestly, lifelong partnerships, marriage, this kind of stuff. Also, as many people like to point out, legal issues as well. And as they like to say as well, relationships could also be your clients and your close friends. But honestly, a lot of it, it's true. If we're going to take it the friendship route, then it's, I mean, very close friends. It's soulmate. It's still soulmate, but it's soulmate relationships, soulmate partnerships, soulmate friendships, for taking it that route. But the trine here with your seventh house, the new moon's trine, your new moon in your third house, it's providing stability and structure for building lasting connections. So you actually may be starting a new partnership, either romantic or professional, or you might be redefining an existing relationship in a way that's mutually supportive and growth oriented. Remember that the third house, where your new moon is, it's also about how we intellectualize and how we kind of think and view. So there could be a connection here with new beginnings, new changes for the way you think or communicate, somehow impacting a relationship. So this could be a time for making new commitments or even meeting someone, honestly, love, who can be a significant part of your life. Or, because third house is communication, this could be a time to either receive communication or to send a communication. And if you're feeling a nudge to reach out to someone that you do have a romantic interest in, that could be pushing you that direction for a certain way, or it could also be your intuition telling you that something is going to come in. Now, we have the secondary ruler, the modern ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, is actually being squared by this new moon in Scorpio. And Pluto right now is in Capricorn, which happens to be your fifth house, which is interesting because fifth house also has a lot of romantic connotations. It is the house of romance and flings. And it's kind of, where the seventh house is about life partnership and marriage. And the eighth house is about soul merging of lovers, like Morticia Gomez Adams is the best archetype I can give for eighth house. Fifth house is really more about the kind of more light attributes, the light energies of romance and of sex and of love and things like that. But it's not all about that. Its fifth house is also creativity, personal expression, your inner child, children, creating things, embodying your true self. So a square is a frictionless aspect. It's something that might have challenges or obstacles, but it's not all bad, right? Because that normally leads to good. So this is kind of encouraging you with this new moon to explore relationships or hobbies that are deeply fulfilling. That square may be causing you to feel an urge to change how you express yourself creatively, perhaps through new artistic pursuits or romantic interest that transforms your perception of joy and pleasure. I work a lot with asteroids and with Arabic points, and I think a lot of other astrologers kind of undermine the importance of them. I think they can be so profound and so deep, and I'll make a video on that in the future. But this new moon in Scorpio is actually squaring Psyche in Aquarius, which for you is in your sixth house. And so it's Psyche in your sixth house of routine, of health, of coworkers, of daily work life, of pets. This may bring up new insights into how your daily life influences your well-being. You might be inspired to adopt a health routine or wellness habit that feels like a fresh start, enhancing both your mental and physical vitality. And then tying it back to the third house, this might come through a communication you receive, or a new course you take, or a social media post you see, or something that a friend tells you, or something that just keeps popping up, or a new way you start to intellectualize something, or maybe something your sibling tells you. This new moon is really, in general, inviting you to welcome new connections, to welcome new learning opportunities, and it's really inviting exciting changes in your daily life. Be open to fresh perspectives and new ways of communicating, whether it's initiating conversations that spark collaboration, learning a new skill, embracing a new social setting. This is the time to really set intentions for growth in all areas of connection and expression and communication, and in all the areas we talked about today. And with a lot of the seventh and fifth house influences, like I said throughout this, throughout your portion, this is also an opportunity, I believe, for changes in love, new beginnings in love, communications coming from there, lessons coming from there, and understanding kind of the balance between that and something else. Beautiful, charming, lovely Libras. Am I biased? Maybe, because it's my sun sign. Okay, Libras. This new moon in Scorpio happening on November 1st at 9 degrees of Scorpio highlights your second house of money, personal values, real estate, and self-worth. Now, if you haven't, I really highly recommend that you take a listen to the beginning part, because I talk about a lot of details there that I won't hear, including the significance of it being at 9 degrees, the significance of this time frame around Halloween, or the time when the veil between the worlds is the thinnest. And I also talk about timing, which I'll briefly say here. So I'm likely going to post this after November 1st, and new moon is happening November 1st in the morning. And it's really not a one-day thing. The thematic and archetypal energies of the themes here, you'll start to feel a call or maybe changes in your life with events or things coming in. If you're not feeling it just internally, if it's actually happening externally, tied to these subjects from 3 days before to 3 days after. Of course, the new moon is the main event, but it's really that window. But it's not just then. These are new seeds and new beginnings and new themes and new downloads that are coming in for the whole month. So it's about this whole month. And if we take it a step beyond that, it's actually the things that start this month, whether it's internal or external, and we'll get into that, it's a cycle that will either go to the next level or end 6 months later when we have the full moon in Scorpio. That'll happen in Taurus season. So you can listen to this anytime. It doesn't have to be the day of the new moon, and it will still be very significant and very helpful to you. Okay, so this is for you, Libra, an ideal time to set new financial goals or to redefine your relationship with resources, real estate, money, budget. I know as a Libra, you probably hate that B word. Trust me, I hate it too. And you have at one point kind of a financial numbers background. And resources. Second house is also investments. It can also be stocks. And remember, in a lot of spiritual teachings, all of this actually ties to self-worth. It ties to how you value yourself, and also ties to your personal values and ideals. But the energy of money is tied with the energy of self-worth, which is why this house rules both. Now, with this time frame, you may see new income opportunities, or perhaps a shift in how you value yourself translates to improved finances and improved confidence. Think of this as a chance to plant seeds for abundance, rooted in a deeper understanding of your personal worth. And this is all happening with a scorpionic energy. Scorpio is death and rebirth. Scorpio is also transmuting dark to light. It's also examining our deepest wounds, our darkest wounds, our biggest demons, and facing them. And from that, rising like a phoenix from the ashes. Scorpio is also deep, deep, deep examination, is also intuition, is also connection with spirit, is also obsession, is also passion, is also sex. And it's a lot of this energy is also being activated, coming through those second house aspects, personal values, money, real estate, self-worth, etc. Now, the ruler of Scorpio, the traditional ruler, is Mars. And Mars right now, at the timing of this new moon, is at 28 degrees of Cancer, so almost the critical degree of the 29th. And within this month, it'll go 29th, and then it'll go into Leo. So that's significant as well. And Cancer is in your 10th house. So what this means, tying it back to the new moon, with Mars in your career-focused 10th house, it's also the house to do with your reputation, your vocation, your standing in society, your contribution, things like this. This energy points towards a new beginning in your professional life as well. And this ties to your second house, right? Because second house is about net worth, assets, money. So it's indicating that part of this new beginning in your second house to do with financial changes, worth, etc., copy and paste all of those I keep saying, is somehow tied to new beginnings in your professional life, your vocation, your reputation as well. So you may be feeling motivated to take the lead on a work project, to assert your ideas, or pursue a role that better aligns with your values. This placement could even be bringing a moment of clarity somehow, that was just me clicking, on how to build a career that honors your emotional needs and long-term goals, blending with the new moon's fresh perspective on worth and value. Now, this new moon is also trining Saturn in Pisces, which is in your 6th house right now, transiting your 6th house. Now, a trine is a very beautiful, harmonious aspect that helps. And remember, this is energetically tying your new moon in the 2nd house with your 6th house. It's creating an energetic bond there. It means now that there's a meaning connected here to the new beginnings that are coming in. And new beginnings aren't just like being given gifts. I mean, they're gifts, but it's not like, it can also be new lessons, new ways that you're being forced to think. Saturn's trine from your 6th house of routine supports new beginnings in health, wellness, and daily structure. This aspect might lead to creating habits that not only improve your physical health, but also boost your productivity and your sense of worth. And it's a time to cultivate a sustainable work-life balance, or perhaps start a wellness practice that strengthens your foundation. Now, Saturn loves the 6th house because 6th house is about routine, it's about health, it's about diet, it's about taking care of your body, it's about having structure, it's about your daily life, it's about work. And Saturn is about responsibility, it's about putting all the ducks in a row, it's about bringing organization into chaos, bringing structure to chaos. It's about commitment. It's about responsibility. It's about authority. And so, you know, it's really saying here that the new beginnings you might be wanting to have in your 2nd house. So if you want to grow your net worth, grow your finances, new opportunities for more money, real estate, investments, self-worth, things like that. The trine here is saying part of the key to that, part of the way to unlock that is through Saturn transiting Pisces right now. So it's through those Saturnian energy, that Piscean energy coming out in your 6th house. So it's through having a good, strong daily routine, taking care of your health, taking care of your body, making sure that like your you know, not just health and body, but also your routine to do with work, making sure you have discipline there. Saturn is like, cut the BS and get to work. No time for excuses, no time for laziness, time to get serious. So it's saying that part of your success and of the new beginning you want in your 2nd house is being unlocked and is coming from your 6th house. Now, the 2nd ruler of Scorpio, the modern ruler, I make it the 2nd ruler because I, if you can't tell by the name of this channel, prefer, I put a higher importance on traditional astrology, but I think modern astrology also, of course, has its merits. So I kind of, for 2nd rulerships, I blend both, but I will call the traditional ruler the primary ruler, is Pluto. Pluto, which is Hades, right? The underworld, death, the phoenix rising. You can see how it's tying to a lot of Scorpio concepts that I talked about earlier. Pluto, the 2nd ruler of Scorpio, is actually currently being squared by the new moon in Scorpio. Pluto right now is in Capricorn at the critical degree, the 29th degree, that's very significant, which is passing through your 4th house. So it's connecting your new moon in your 2nd house, those new beginnings, those changes that are being stirred up in a frictional, challenging, obstacle-ish way to your 4th house. And 4th house is all about home. It could be the physical home, or it could be the metaphorical home, the emotional home. It's about family dynamics, family units. That could mean blood relatives that live 100 miles away from you or a lot more, like wherever they are, or roommates, because that also will be home dynamic. It's about your deep-rooted beliefs to do with that family and home. It's about even the feminine maternal figures in your life, like your mom. It's about your internal world, your emotions. So this square to your new moon is asking you to consider how family dynamics, home, or deep-rooted beliefs are influencing somehow your relationship with money and self-worth. There's friction that's being caused here coming from the 4th house stuff. Could it be that you're putting a lot of money in your house, maybe a lot of repairs is being asked of you, or you lost a lot of money recently and it's forced you to be more responsible somehow with how you handled the house stuff? Could it be to do with family? Could it be that you're something with your family, your home, your house where you live, your roommates is challenging, maybe not money, but your sense of self-worth? So this could be asking you and leading you to let go of old family patterns or limiting beliefs that have held you back financially, to balance out any friction, any challenges. Perhaps you're feeling a pull to redefine your living space or make changes at home that support your values, creating a base where you feel truly empowered. Perhaps there's a change that has to be done with the house that will somehow affect your financials. Now, I also work a lot with asteroids and what are called Arabic points, that both of those things I feel astrologers, many astrologers at least, kind of overlook or undervalue. And I don't mean that in any judgmental way. It's just, for me, I find with the clients I've been working with throughout the years, they're so profound and so underlooked. And in ancient astrology in the East Mediterranean, we used it a lot. Anyway, I'm going to make a whole video on that. But long story short, this new moon in Scorpio is actually squaring Psyche in Aquarius. And Psyche is an asteroid. And Aquarius is in your 5th house right now. Aquarius is in your 5th house. So the Psyche right now is passing through your 5th house. So the square to Psyche in your 5th house of creativity, romance, inner child, children, self-expression, creating, entrepreneurship, etc., leadership, adds a layer of reflection on how you express yourself and find joy. This square suggests a new beginning in understanding how your passions and sense of play contribute to your self-worth and your net worth. So you may be discovering fresh ways to bring joy into your life, perhaps by starting a creative hobby, exploring a new romantic connection, or dedicating time to something that makes you feel vibrant. Listen, okay, I'm a Libra sun, right? What did I just tell you? I am literally launching this in this new moon, and this I'm creating. A 5th house is all about also being in the spotlight, creating, and passion and all of this stuff and creative projects. And I am creating this and launching it on the new moon. It's also about entrepreneurship, right? Your own business. Just to show you, I mean, as I was just like going through my notes and saying it to you, it instantly hit me. I am living this. This is literally what is happening to me right now. And this just shows you how true astrology is. And when I wrote these notes, I wasn't even thinking of myself. I dissociated. I didn't think, oh, I'm a Libra sun. Is this applying to me right now? And it totally does. And it's just one example. And it's also an example of how I want you to see that, because you're going to go watch other astrology channels, right? Like, I understand, and you should, because every astrologer knows something, another one doesn't, and ties and views the energies in a way another doesn't. But you'll see a lot that just focus on, okay, what's the house? And that's it. And this is a prime example of why I want to show you it's not just that. And this is, by the way, without even looking at a personal chart. Once you look at a personal chart, it's a whole new level of depth and accuracy that's like insane and mind-blowing. But even without going there, we're now talking generally, right, to all Libras. Just tying the looking beyond of, okay, what's the house that it activates? Looking at the aspects, the rulers, the time frame, the numerology. There's just so much to understanding. And that's why, for me, that's why I wanted to start this channel. Like, I've been working in this astrologer for a very long time, but I haven't had a public audience on YouTube, at least, for it. And this is why, because I want people to see this new level of depth of how it blends together. So for you, right, a lot of these new beginnings, new opportunities to expand your wealth, expand your finances, bring new change to your finances, how you approach it, your self-worth, your net worth, your real estate, etc., can come through a lot of this 5th house energy, through creating something, through putting something out there, through getting the spotlight on yourself, through doing something creative, through a hobby, through joy, through a new romantic connection, maybe a new romantic connection, challenges your self-worth issues, your poor self-esteem, and maybe then you have growth after that. So that's a really great example of, again, how these energies blend together into the newness that's coming for you this month. Okay. So this new moon really brings a potent chance to redefine your relationship with value, both financially and personally. Consider setting intentions around new income streams, money goals, healthier spending habits, reevaluate where you're not doing so good, look at the budget. I know you're scared to. Work-life balance is also a thing here. Focus on creating a life that feels aligned with your worth, integrating supportive family dynamics, that fourth house energy, meaningful connections, and habits that boost your confidence. If you've been feeling like you have low self-esteem, this is a time to challenge that. This is a time to step into a more empowered, resourceful version of yourself, welcoming abundance that really reflects your truest values. Hello, Scorpios. Man, do you guys get such a bad rap, which I think is completely undeserved. I am a bit biased because I have Scorpio stellium, but really none of the archetypes are, good or bad. There's negative and positive, high vibration, low vibration traits and energies for all of them. But you are the stars of this show this month because it is your season and this is a powerful new moon. And so especially for you, you will be feeling it, very immense transformation, whether you are a Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising. This new moon lands in your first house of identity, appearance, self-expression, the lens through which you view the world and the lens through which the world sees you. The first, in a way, layer of the onion that is your personality that the world sees. And this moon is happening on November 9th. Sorry, this moon is happening at 9 degrees of Scorpio on November 1st. And I want to say something because I'm going to be posting this likely after November 1st. The energies, the date that first is when the new moon is happening, but it's not at all the only significant date. The energies tied to the archetypes and themes, subjects and topics we're going to talk about, where you're going to be seeing changes in your life for sure. They start 3 days before, all the way going 3 days after. But it's not just that. New moon is a cycle. It's a cycle for this whole month until the next new moon. So this is going to be a thematic theme for this whole month. And if we take it a step further, this is a cycle that won't really wrap up until the next full moon in Scorpio, which is happening around Taurus season, or it'll escalate, or be promoted to the next level if it doesn't wrap up, if that makes sense. So if you didn't watch my intro, I highly recommend it because I talk more about the energies, the magical scorpionic energies of this new moon, and the significance of certain details, like the numerological significance of it being at 9 degrees of Scorpio, according to Chaldean numerology, which is from the same part of the world as the Phoenicians represent, and also just the time frame of it being this time where the veil between the worlds is the thinnest. So if you haven't, highly recommend watching that. But until then, without further ado, let's get into your forecast properly. Okay, so this is basically your personal new year, right? Your new moon in Scorpio happening in Scorpio. You are Scorpio. So it's a very big deal for you to treat it like a personal new year. I'm going to talk about the part of your charts where you're going to be seeing new beginnings and that are very hyper highlighted for you to set intentions. But you could even take it a step further and just set intentions for other things as well. But here, you're really invited to redefine who you are and how you present yourself to the world. Scorpio, as you probably know, is really about death and rebirth. It's about the phoenix rising. It's about transmutation of dark to light. It's about facing the hard truths, our biggest fears, our traumas, our demons, and not just facing them, but really alchemizing them. It's alchemy, transmuting them, taking them into the light, shining the light on them, rising from the ashes like a phoenix, building from those ashes. It's the butterfly coming out after its period of darkness and transformation. Scorpio is also passion, immense passion, sex, intimacy, Gomez and Morticia Adams style intimacy and love, and till death do us part, and connection to spirit and such piercing intuition. So all of that is very natural to you as a Scorpio. And all of that is really being activated, right? You might be finding yourself drawn to make changes in your style, with that, death and rebirth. So when I was talking about earlier about redefining who you are and how you present yourself, you may be feeling like you are being a butterfly right now, right? You're coming out in that way right now. You've transmuted a lot of shit, or you're in the process of transmuting. Pardon my French, I should really stop. It's when I get very passionate and comfortable and tired. It's a bit late here. You may be finding yourself drawn really to make changes in your appearance, in your style, revamp your online presence, or take steps towards becoming a truer, bolder version of yourselves. This is a great time to redo your I am affirmations. I love having a self-creed, creed to myself, an oath to myself. This is a great time to write one. This energy is all about embracing a fresh new beginning in self-image, identity, personal goals, self-worth as well, your body, your brand, your view of the world, your just all of that, right? The energy is very supportive here. So you may suddenly come across things, maybe the universe is throwing it your way, or maybe because Scorpio, you're having intuitive nudges. But maybe the energy around you is highlighting luck on your side to change things about yourself, whether it's your body, your appearance, things like that, how people view you. Now, it's also important to look at the ruler of Scorpio, Mars, and what Mars is doing right now to really understand more of that energy that's bursting through your new moon for this whole month, right? And Mars right now is at 28 degrees of Cancer, which is actually going through your 9th house. Now, with Mars in your expansive 9th house, this energy supports new beginnings that widen your horizons in all aspects. You might feel a call, or you might be getting an opportunity to travel, to learn something new, to pursue a passion that gives you a greater sense of purpose. 9th house also rules astrology, so maybe you're going to come across a new astrologer, new astrological insight that helps bring about that change. Hello, maybe it's me. Maybe you're inspired to study something transformative or take a trip that connects you with new ideas or cultures, shaping how you see yourself. Maybe as well, you could sign up for 9th house is also higher institutions of academics. So maybe you sign up for a new degree, or something like that. And it's through these 9th house things of expanding your horizons, of travel, of foreignness, whether it's foreigners or foreign travel, foreign ideas, new religions, new spiritualities, new cultures, new languages, new courses as well. It's through this that this is somehow tying to that transformation and new beginning we talked about in your sense of self, your 1st house, and your looks, even your body, how you're viewed, how you value yourself, your definition of I am. I think a lot of personal growth is very frequently revisiting your I am statement and seeing if your actions are aligning with your I am statements, or if you've lost track of that and if you've forgotten who you want to be, then this is the time for you to write new I am statements, right? Like if you've been feeling very unconfident, acting in ways you don't really like, it's a time to reevaluate. Like I am seductive, I am sensual, I am smart, I am lucky, I am hardworking, I am charming, I am loving, I am peaceful. Evaluate what your strongest I am statements that make up the identity you wish to embody are, and then see how much your actions align there. So this tie to the 9th house is linking it somehow. This expansion of your horizons, whether through travel or new ideas, new philosophies, new experiences in that way, is going to affect your sense of self, and your looks and the way that your energy is sent out into the world. Now, we also have this new moon trining Saturn in Pisces in your 5th house. Now, Saturn's trine from your 5th house of creativity and pleasure lends a structured, supportive energy for self-expression and enjoyment. This could bring a disciplined approach to creative projects, romance, or even a new hobby. 5th house is also children, your inner child, joy, entrepreneurship, your own business, leadership opportunities. You may start a project that feels deeply fulfilling. Set boundaries in love to protect your joy. or begin sharing your creative work with others in a more public way, really putting your work out there. Saturn is all about structure. It's about routine. It's about bringing structure to chaos, bringing order to chaos. It's asking you to commit more, to be more serious. And a trine is a very harmonious aspect to your new moon. So part of this new beginning coming in your first house is coming with Saturn expressing itself through your fifth. So all this stuff we talked about, creative projects, romance, inner child, children, new hobbies, entrepreneurship, embodiment of your true self, putting things out in the public, being in more joy, this kind of creating things, it's also tying to your new beginnings happening in the first house. Now, we also have the second ruler of Scorpio, the modern ruler, Pluto, in Capricorn, being squared by your new moon, by the new moon. And this is happening in your third house. So Pluto's square to the new moon from your third house of communication and learning and technology and siblings and short local trips adds a transformative layer, challenging you to be more authentic in how you express yourself. Perhaps you're going to confront and release old thought patterns or limiting beliefs. This could lead to you speaking your truth more freely, starting a writing project, or changing how you communicate in relationships, making your voice more powerful and impactful. The square here is a bit of a challenging, kind of friction-based, lesson-based, hardship-based aspect, but always, right, the lessons or the challenge is going to lead to something good one way or another and some growth. But this tie to self, there's a tie here. So some of these third house topics, maybe like social media somehow, is challenging growth in how you view yourself, in your self-esteem, in your body, things like that. Maybe your self-worth or your self-esteem is challenging how you express yourself. Maybe you get some kind of a communication that triggers some kind of a challenge here. Now, next, we also have this new moon squaring Psyche in Aquarius, which is your fourth house. Now, if you haven't heard of Psyche, Psyche is an asteroid, and I actually work a lot. I love working with asteroids and also what are called Arabic points. These, Arabic points and asteroids, massive in lots of old ancient astrology in the East Mediterranean and the Near East and the Middle East. Very, very overlooked by a lot of astrologers, I think. And I don't blame them. Astrology, when you are a professional astrologer and you understand, it's like a behemoth. It's a whole world. You have no idea how many possible things you can look at in the sky. But for me, I think it's actually working with asteroids is one of the more profound things. It gives so much detail and predictive detail as well in someone's chart. I'm going to make a whole video on this. But okay, back to the point here. So Psyche's position in your fourth house highlights deeper emotional and family dynamics, encouraging a fresh beginning in your home life. Fourth house is family. It could also be roommates. It could also be the physical house you live in or the emotional sense of what a home is. It's also your internal world. It's also motherhood, whether your own motherhood or a relationship with your mom. It's also your emotions. This aspect may spark the urge to create a safe, nurturing space that reflects the new you or prompt you to resolve past family issues. You may even start something related to ancestral healing, moving forward with a stronger foundation. The square, it's friction, right? But friction that leads to growth. So you could be having issues related to the home, the house, the family, the roommates that is causing growth and new beginnings to do with your sense of self and how you interact with the world and how the world perceives you. So this new moon is really inviting you to boldly step into a new version of yourself. Set intentions around how you want to be seen, both in your personal style and your appearance and the impact you make on those around you, your I am statements, who you want to become, who you are. You might consider embracing activities like starting a new creative project that feels like a true expression of your unique self, making a change in your appearance, such as a new hairstyle, wardrobe, or even revamping your online profiles, signing up for a course or planning a trip that aligns with a deeper sense of purpose, redesigning a part of your home to make it a space that nurtures and inspires you, working through family issues. All of this is really leading to a lot of transformation in your sense of self and in your appearance and in how you perceive the world and vice versa. This is your chance to make changes that reflect who you are becoming, letting go of any past definitions that no longer serve you. Hi Sagittarius, the new moon in Scorpio illuminates your 12th house, which is the domain of dreams, spirituality, and hidden aspects of the self. This new moon is happening on November 1st at 9 degrees of Scorpio. And if you haven't watched the intro, I highly recommend you do, because I go over kind of the really big energy that makes this new moon in Scorpio unique compared to other new moons in Scorpio, including the aspects, the timing it's happening at this time when we're between the veil of worlds, and also the significance of it being at 9 degrees specifically. I highly recommend to watch it if you don't. The other thing I want to say, because I think I will be posting this video after November 1st, is that what you hear today is not just a one-day thing. The energy of the new moon tends to start around 3 days before and go on until around 3 days after. But really, these things that we're talking about that are unfolding for you, the seeds that are being planted, they're really thematic for the whole month. The new moon is just the day the seed is planted. You can think about it, but the growth is throughout the month. So I recommend you listen to this anytime. And beyond that, this is something at a lower level will continue until the cycles ends, which will be at the next full moon in Scorpio that happens around May in Taurus season. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into the details of your forecast. This new moon really offers you a chance to begin a powerful inner journey, perhaps through deep reflection, spiritual exploration, or letting go of subconscious patterns that no longer serve you. So the 12th house already is a very Piscean energy. It's the energy that's connected to other realms, to intuition, to spirituality, but it's also connected to mental health and how you think. And on a lower vibration, or in a more challenging way, it's also your inner demons mentally, where your own thoughts could be badly, affecting your mental health. It's also the house of kind of helping the underdog, helping those who are less fortunate. And so you might be being drawn to meditate more, to explore healing practices, or embrace solitude to reconnect with your inner self, because the 12th house also talks about isolation. In some ways, right, the 12th house is right before the first, so 12th house can also be endings. And this is interesting because we're mixing this with Scorpio, and this new moon is in Scorpio after all. And Scorpio is about death, but it's also about rebirth. And Scorpio is also incredibly mystical and also has incredible intuition and incredible connection to other realms, to other beings, to intuition. So all of those aspects of the 12th house, in a way, are amplified with this new moon happening there. Now, it's also important to really understand what this new moon is bringing for you, or shedding light on, or giving you an opportunity to improve, to change, to grow, or bringing change in. You kind of also have to know what the rulers of this moon is doing. Now, the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars, and Mars currently is at 28 degrees of Cancer, which happens to be your 8th house. This is great because even though you have Cancer in the 8th house, but Cancer is traditionally associated with Scorpio. Even though I need to go back and edit that, or I'm just going to keep talking. Refresh. Okay, so even though you have Cancer in the 8th house, the 8th house is traditionally actually associated with Scorpio. It's very Scorpionic energy. Some astrologers like to phrase it as Scorpio rules the 8th house. And this is kind of to have the ruler of this new moon currently transiting the 8th house, even if it is in more sensitive and more gentle Cancer, really amplifies that Scorpionic intensity and passion and depth. Now, don't get me wrong, Cancer and Pisces are also both water signs, so they also have deep spiritual connections, deep intuition, but Scorpio pierces through all of that. I would argue and say that Scorpio is possibly the most connected. Scorpio and Pisces, it would be the two out of all the signs, but Scorpio in a different way, because Scorpio is like very, very it's like diving into the underworld. It's like diving into the other realms, going up there. Whereas Pisces, I think more of as a connection, if that makes sense. So having, Mars in your transformational 8th house, the house of death, the house of rebirth, the house of the joining of souls, the house of sex, other people's money as well. But this energy supports new beginnings around shared resources, around intimacy. I think I'm going to get, I don't have enough followers yet to get demonetized, so never mind. We're not even monetized. It's okay that I said the S word, S-E-X. Okay, anyway, this energy is really supporting new beginnings around shared resources, intimacy, but also healing past wounds, because both the 8th house and Scorpio are about transmuting your deepest wounds, transmuting your deepest traumas into light. You could initiate at this time a new financial arrangement, or the universe could be placing opportunities in your face towards that, or also opportunities to delve deeper into emotional connections. Like I said, the 8th house is really about this merging of souls. It's about a love and passion that is very, I like to say, and if you've listened to me speak about other signs, in the other signs forecast, 8th house is very much the sort of passion that you see with Gomez and Marsha Adams. So it could be giving opportunities for that, perhaps opportunities for you to explore intimacy in that kind of very deep scorpionic, spiritual 8th house, death and rebirth, merging of souls, tantra kind of way. It could also be giving you opportunities to address any hidden fears. This placement really emphasizes a turning point right now in how you approach vulnerability and depth with others. Remember, like I said, again, this is not just a one-day thing. You're going to be listening to this after November 1st because I'm posting it after, because that is life. But it really is an energy that is going to be thematic for this month. And then the themes, lessons, seeds planted in that, you'll continue to kind of see and play a part unfolding in the next 6 months. All right. We also have this new moon trining Saturn in Pisces, and a trine is a harmonious aspect. And Saturn is the planet of authority, of structure, of bringing order to chaos, of responsibility, of commitment. It's a very serious planet, and it happens to be traveling through your 4th house. And here, Saturn's supportive trine from your 4th house of home and family and the inner world and emotions, and also on a side note, motherhood as well. Could be your mother, someone else's mother. Talks about the feminine aspect of the mother figure. This supportive trine helps you lay down roots and build emotional stability. This influence could be leading you to create a peaceful, healing environment at home, could be leading you or giving you opportunities or bringing changes when it comes to your home, to your family, in a way that's going to benefit 12th house things. It's going to benefit your mental health. It's going to benefit perhaps your servitude of others. It's going to benefit your spirituality and your connection to spirit, to God, your faith, all these kinds of things. That energy is symbiotic. It's flowing both ways from the 12th to the 4th because it's a trine. And so it's giving you an opportunity to create a very healing and peaceful environment at home, or when it comes to working on family relationships. And this could also include roommates, right? Because roommates live in and inhabit the home. You might even start a practice such as journaling or meditation that reinforces your sense of inner security and grounding. You may be feeling called to bring structure, to bring stability, to bring focus on creating that peace and serenity in your home. Now, the second ruler, the modern ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, is actually getting squared by this new moon in Scorpio. And Pluto right now is in Capricorn at the critical degree. It's at 29 degrees, transiting your 2nd house. Now, a square is considered a hard aspect because it comes with friction. And often the square brings perhaps challenges. I like the word friction a lot more because I think it better kind of explains that energy. And oftentimes when we're creating new things, we need friction. We need something to come in and rough away the edges to reveal something beautiful. And that's how I like to think about squares. It's an aspect of friction, but it's here for a good reason, and it's pushing you towards something for a good reason, and the intention is beneficial somehow. So what a square brings, even if it's challenges or some kind of a hard aspect, normally there's a growth opportunity or something good at the other end, based on free will of how we handle that. So the square from Pluto in your second house with the new moon in your 12th house connects this new moon to your values and your self-worth. The second house, on a side note, is more often, actually, people will firstly talk about the second house being your net worth, your assets, your real estate, your stocks, your investment, but it also is your values and your net worth. And I think this connection with the square to the 12th house, I think it ties it more to the meaning of values and self-worth, because the 12th house has that mental health kind of aspect to it. So this influence pushes you to examine any attachments, any financial fears, any confidence issues, any self-esteem issues that keep you from fully trusting your inner guidance. It's also pushing you to understand if there's anything you're not facing financially, you're kind of hiding away like an ostrich, that deep down is weighing on your mental health. And causing you maybe to sit more in isolation, or causing you a lot of fear, or making your mind your own worst enemy. So you may be prompted to really release limiting beliefs about money or security, and to let go of old ways of thinking that don't align with your spiritual growth. And you're also being prompted here to face any skeletons in the closet that might be bringing a lot of stress in that sense and weighing you down. You know, it's really hard to connect with the spiritual when there's so much muck in the 3D realm down below. And this aspect with the square in Pluto, the 29th degree in your second house, but the new moon being in your 12th house, is really saying if you want to ascend your connection to the spiritual, sometimes you actually have to deal with that foundational muck, so it doesn't weigh you down anymore, and it's easy to connect with the spiritual. Now, I also work a lot with asteroids and what are called Arabic points. I'm going to make a whole video on that, since my channel on here is new. I'm putting in this little info tidbit. These are elements in astrology that I think a lot of astrologers undervalue, and their importance and their significance and the meaning they add is so incredibly profound, and their use is so ancient, especially in the East Mediterranean, and it's something I really work with a lot. I'll make a whole video on that, but for now I'll just say that this new moon is actually squaring Psyche in Aquarius, which is transiting your third house, and Psyche is an asteroid. So Psyche in your third house being squared by the moon here highlights communication, learning, and how you process information. Third house can also be siblings. Third house can also be technology. Third house can also be short little trips around town near you, sort of a thing, versus like a big road trip or flying. It's more about short-term travel. Now, this square encourages new beginnings in how you're communicating, possibly leading to fresh, more open approach to expressing spiritual or subconscious insights. You might also find yourself exploring new forms of writing, speaking, or connecting with others that help clarify your inner world. You could also find yourself having things like social media challenging your stability of the 12th house topics like mental health, connection with spirit, intuition, need to help others, isolation, or you could possibly having a sibling right now. Things could be coming up with a sibling that are pushing you to heal any issues you might have with communication or with feeling understood. This new moon invites you to embrace a journey of self-discovery and healing. So consider setting intentions around starting a meditation or dream journal practice to connect with your inner self in this time, redesigning a space at home to create a peaceful sanctuary, letting go of any attachments or fears around money that block your spiritual path, facing any bad decisions you've been making with money or things you don't want to look at that you're keeping hidden, opening up to a deeper level of vulnerability and intimacy in close relationships, and pay attention also to what you're consuming on social media. This is a powerful time to connect with the unseen and embrace new beginnings in your inner life. Hello, Capricorn, suns, moons, and risings. This is your new moon forecast for the Scorpio new moon happening at 9 degrees of Scorpio on November 1st. Now, you're probably thinking, hey, you're posting this after November 1st. I'm actually not recording this after November 1st, but I think I will post it after. And that is true. And that is because a new moon's energy is not just on the day of, and the new beginnings that the new moon bring is not just the day of. You'll start to see the thematic themes, for lack of better phrasing, start to be present 3 days before up to 3 days after. And I like to think of the day of the new moon as the actual day when the seed is planted, but really it's the whole month until the next new moon. It's really this whole lunar phase where these new beginnings can take place, where the universe will throw, signs and nudges and give you opportunities in the direction of the area we're going to talk about. And actually, on a lower scale, going beyond the next new moon, going beyond this month, these themes and the things that are planted in this month up until the end of this cycle happening at the next full moon in Scorpio, normally around May, Taurus season, you will see kind of a culmination of these seeds, or certain things will kind of go to the next level. So you can listen to this, definitely listen to any new moon forecast by any astrologer after the actual day of the new moon. It's still very, very relevant. Now, if you haven't, I highly recommend listening to the intro, because I go into detail about many significant things regarding this new moon, including the timing and the numerological significance of it happening at 9 degrees of Scorpio. And if you've listened to multiple signs, I'm sorry you're hearing me say this every single reading. But without further ado, let's talk about what this new moon is bringing in for you and the new beginnings. So this new moon in Scorpio highlights your 11th house, which governs friendships, social networks, community, a deep sense of values, long-term goals, and also technology, by the way. 11th house is very Aquarian energy, even though you have Capricorn there. So imagine kind of blending those two energies. This is a fantastic time for you to set intentions around your place in the world, whether through community involvement, pursuing a dream, because 11th house is also about your dreams, or aligning with a group that shares your vision. For example, if you feel like you don't have a aligned friend or you want to call in your soul tribe, this is a great time. You might find yourself drawn to new friendships. You might find that some people are initiating collaborative projects with you, or you're starting to consider ways to expand your influence within your community, or you might be, things to do with friends could be happening, whether it's like, just planning new events, new ways to really deeply engage. Maybe you're feeling a push to expand, to deepen, to change, things like that. Now, it's also really important to look at what the ruler of this new moon is doing at this time to really understand the full level of what's coming in, of course, without actually looking at your birth chart, which will show the most accuracy. By the way, I do readings, have to throw that in there. Okay, so the traditional ruler of this full moon in Scorpio is Mars. And Mars is currently, at the time of the new moon, I should say, at 28 degrees of Cancer, which for you is in your 7th house. I love that. Love that. You know why? Because I love love. And the 7th house is really about love. 7th house is about lifelong partnerships. It's about very, very soul to soul connections. It's about marriage. And it's also about legal things as well. People always say that because it's traditionally associated with or ruled by, it's connected to Libra, and Libra is the sign that has to do with justice and balance and legal things. So the 7th house has some of those energies tied to that as well. So with Mars energizing your 7th house of relationships, right? And that's interesting because the new moon is happening in the 11th house, which also talks about relationships, but more in the community sense of relationships, in the group sense. This influence then is actually supporting fresh starts in partnerships, whether personal or professional. So you may find new motivation to be assertive in close connections, to set boundaries, or enter a partnership that pushes you towards your goals, right? Because this is tying back again to the new moon. The almost critical degree here, but with it, as the month progresses, we will get to the 29th degree of Mars being in Cancer, and then Mars will go into Leo. So the critical degree that will be happening within this time frame highlights the need for balanced, reciprocal relationships that foster your long-term dreams and that foster your belonging within a community, right? We also have this moon trining Saturn in Pisces, which is transiting your third house. Saturn is really the planet that is about bringing order, bringing structure, demanding of you that you have more responsibility, that you have more discipline. It's the no BS kind of authority figure that comes in where there's chaos and puts things back in order. And sometimes it has to shake things up a little bit to get your attention. But this is a trine, and a trine is a harmonious aspect. So Saturn is being supported here. And the third house is really about communication, and it's about kind of lower level concepts of learning. It's about intellectualizing. It's about technology to communicate, so things like social media, messaging, getting texts. It's also about siblings, things like this. And so this supportive trine in this house is offering stability in your social interactions and your learning efforts, and possibly, if it's relevant, social media, and possibly, if it's relevant, relationship with siblings. But it's offering that stability in a way of a Saturnian way, right? So the things you should be harnessing in a way is structure, discipline, responsibility, commitment, this kind of stuff, timeliness, and harnessing that will help you have harmony here. This could be a time for productive conversations or collaborations where you feel truly heard. You may even consider a study or writing project that aligns with your goals or connects with those in your immediate environment who inspire you. And this connection to your 11th house, you might be getting a message or a text or a communication or an email or a letter from someone that has to do with a dream of yours, or something that has to do with a dream of yours, or from a community member, from a friend, that will either invite you for deeper involvement, or that will benefit either aspects of your 11th house or your 11th house or your third house. We also have the second ruler, the modern ruler of Scorpio, Pluto in Capricorn at the critical 29th degree of your first house. And it's actually being, not only is that the state of your secondary ruler of this new moon, but it's actually being squared by the new moon itself. So Pluto square from your first house to the new moon connects this new moon to your sense of self and your personal power. The first house is about sense of self, like I am statements in a way. Think of it this way. And your body, your appearance. Sixth house can also be about body, but it's a little bit in a different way. Your appearance, your looks, how you carry yourself, how people perceive you, but also it's kind of like that top layer of the onion that you also deal with the world. So you may feel urged to let go of self-imposed limitations or redefine how you present yourself within groups. This aspect encourages you to really embrace transformation, because Scorpio is all about transformation, and it's really encouraging you as well to recognize your unique strengths and to show up authentically in friendships and social settings. I want to say, like, the new beginnings that you're being called to have within this kind of friendships, community setting, it's really about death and rebirth and transmuting dark into light, because that's what Scorpio is. And it's about no BS. And it's about, especially this trine to Saturn really makes it about no BS even more. But Scorpio sees through liars, and Scorpio doesn't like fake. Scorpio is all about transmuting that dark into light. And it's giving you a chance to have a rebirth when it comes to all of these aspects of life. I realize I shouldn't use the word aspects in the figurative sense, because when I'm having an astrological conversation. And so really just keep thinking of what the Scorpio energy is about. It's about heightened intuition. It's about passion. It's about really getting deep and very like soul bonded. And it's about death and rebirth and transmuting dark into light and facing, going into Hades and pulling out your demons and dealing with them. Now, I work a lot with asteroids and what are called Arabic points, and I think a lot of astrologers kind of undermine their importance, but I always like to see and use asteroids both in my chart analysis that I do for clients, but also in predictive astrology, which is what we're doing now, and forecasting. And, excuse me, acid reflux. And, I could edit it out, but honestly, I get it too much, so ain't nobody got time for that, as a wise woman once said. All right, so this new moon is also squaring Psyche in Aquarius, and Psyche right now that is an asteroid, and this asteroid right now is passing through your second house. So with Psyche right now in your second house is about resources, net worth, real estate, stocks, investment, values, and also self-worth, self-esteem. So this aspect really brings attention to your sense of worth in group dynamics, bringing this back to your network, because that's what the 11th house is about. And it's a square. A square is friction. A square is obstacle. A square is a lesson. A square is a challenge. Squares normally, if you use the free will appropriately, have positive outcomes, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a frictional kind of aspect. It's a frictional energetic connection, right? That's what an aspect is when you think about it. Well, that's what it is by nature. And so it's really saying here that a lot of the way that the universe is bringing attention to those things, your sense of self-worth and group dynamics, perhaps how your network also can be your net worth, that aspect, connecting the second house with the 11th house is literally that line, your network is your net worth, but also your sense of worth can ties to your network. So it might be bringing things up in a harder way for you to, in a frictional way, for you to learn these lessons and be able to answer these questions. You might question how much you're contributing or receiving from your networks. You might be questioning if they align with your values. This could be leading you to adjust how you engage with your social circles, focusing on relationships that actually affirm your self-worth. So this square in your second house, the friction could be coming from here, and that could be what's pushing the new beginning happening when it comes to your 11th house, elements of groups, network, friendship, community, tribe, and your dreams. Remember again, the 11th house is also dreams. Okay, so this new moon is an ideal time to pursue new connections and reimagine how you contribute to your social world. If you feel like something here was dead, this is the time to revive one way or another. It's your caterpillar moment. Either you're going to bring back a zombie from Hades, or you're going to say, burn it all and rise from the ashes. Consider setting intentions around joining a group or network that aligns with the dream or goal. Initiating or nurturing friendships that inspire you to grow, stepping into a role that allows you to make a meaningful impact on others, letting go of self-doubt and embracing your unique strengths within groups. This is a period all about building community and goals for you that truly, not just that, but, calling in your soul tribe, reevaluating your dreams, reevaluating who you're friends with, and making sure that all of that truly resonates with who you are and what you stand for. And the universe is going to push you towards that and really encourage that. And in some cases, bring about the new beginnings there without you even intending it. Hello, Aquarius. This new moon in Scorpio is shining the light on your 10th house. 10th house is the area of career, of public image, of legacy, of vocation, of reputation. If you haven't watched the intro, I highly recommend you do, because I go into other details about this new moon, including aspects and numerological significance and timing significance. But I want to say as well that I'm probably going to be posting this after November 1st, and the new moon is happening at 9 degrees of Scorpio on November 1st. But really the information is for the whole month of November. And actually, thematically, events related to the new moon or intuitive hits are very strong 3 days before to 3 days after. And that's kind of like the fertilization time if you want to set your intentions. But it's really the whole month that these seeds grow, and that the universe will have an archetypal focus on these themes for the whole month. And taking it to even a step further, a lot of the seeds planted in this time, they will have that cycle doesn't really close until this paired full moon of Scorpio that will happen in Taurus season in May, mostly in May. So TLDR, Even if you find this video after November 1st, it is incredibly valuable to listen to, because what I'm saying is not just applicable to November 1st, it's applicable to all this period before the next new moon in Sagittarius, but also in a way up to even the next 6 months. Okay, so this is a powerful new moon for you, and it brings with it a powerful time for fresh starts in your professional life, or a chance to redefine your goals and ambitions, and also what you feel like you're contributing to your society. Whether it's a career shift, taking on a new project, a new opportunity that's being placed for you in this sense, or embracing a new role, you're being encouraged to step into a new position that truly resonates with your authentic self and long-term vision. Scorpio loves authenticity. Scorpio considers being fake or being inauthentic as the dark. And Scorpio is all about transmuting the dark into light. Scorpio is also about death and rebirth and passion. I hate when people skip the passion part. And spirituality and the underworld and our traumas and our fears, but it's good because it's transmuting them. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. It is also the kind of soul-merging intensity of passion that we really see in, like, I always like to say, like Morticia and Gomez Adams style of intimacy. And it's also about sex, but you know what, I'm a new channel, so I should just say the word because it's not like I'm monetized anyway. So it's also about that. It's about intimacy, but really like soul merging, Tantra style, Gomez and Morticia Adams intimacy. But we're applying all of that as well to your 10th house, right? So when I'm talking about a new opportunity, when I'm talking about your authentic self, a long-term vision, new projects, it's really this kind of beautiful energy that's being mixed into it. Now, to really understand as well what the new moon wants to bring to your attention, and also the new things that are coming into your life in this time, and the powerful places where you have luck on your side to set new intentions at this time, it's important to know what the rulers of this moon are doing. So Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, and Mars is at 28 degrees of Cancer, which happens to be transiting your 6th house. Now, it's interesting because 6th house in a way also can tie to work when we think of it more as the workplace, the daily work life, your co-workers. But 6th house is also about the body in terms of health, fitness, routines, diets, that kind of a thing. 6th house is really about your daily routine, your day-to-day responsibilities. And we can also say to you know, some people, you know, it's also about pets. Because you, in a way, when you think about it, you deal with your pets on your daily routine. And so Mars here in your 6th house of work and routines brings energy to your day-to-day responsibilities. This influence is really suggesting, bringing forward a chance to implement new habits or new approaches that support your career goals, that support what's happening in your work life. Because remember, again, the new moon is in actually your 10th house. So you might feel driven right now to tackle projects with renewed focus and to streamline your routines, or even take a lead on things that you've been letting slip too much to the side, or the universe could be giving you a leadership role somehow within your work environment. Throughout the month of November, Mars will continue to the critical degree and then will cross over into Leo, making powerful, impactful changes for you that really increase efficiency and wellness in your work life. We also have this new moon trining Saturn in Pisces, which is transiting your 2nd house. Saturn's supportive trine from your 2nd house of finances and self-worth brings stability and growth to your professional endeavors. This is an alignment that suggests you could be laying down solid foundations for financial security through your career moves, or maybe around this time you're offered a new role or project that brings in more income, or you might consider how your talents and skills can lead to greater financial abundance. Now, we also have the 2nd ruler of this new moon, Pluto, being squared by this new moon. So the new moon itself is actually squaring its secondary ruler, the modern ruler. And Pluto right now is in Capricorn at the critical degree, the 29th degree, the last degree before it goes into Aquarius. This is a big deal collectively, and you're going to hear a lot of other astrologers talking about this. And for you, this is happening in your 12th house. 12th house, the house of hidden things, the house of endings, the house of other realms, the house of mental health, the house of connection to spirit, spirituality, the house of defending the underdog. Pluto square to the new moon happening from the 12th house is encouraging you to confront your subconscious fears or limiting beliefs around success and visibility. How could these things, how could your mental health, how could your hidden worlds, how could your faith, how could your also your spiritual routine, how is that affecting your career somehow? This aspect calls for transformation at a very deep level, possibly requiring you to release any insecurities or hidden doubts that hold you back in your career. It's a chance right now for you to embrace a more empowered self-image, stepping fully into the spotlight, really without hesitation. We also have this new moon squaring Psyche in Aquarius. And if you haven't heard of Psyche, Psyche is an asteroid. And I work a lot with asteroids. I use them a lot for both different chart analysis readings, but also predictive astrology. And I also use Arabic points. I think a lot of astrologers disregard the importance of these things a lot. I've found, at least with my clients, incredibly powerful when you look at them. Of course, I'll make a video on that. But pulling this back to here, so you have this new moon squaring Psyche. And a square is a frictional aspect. So it's an aspect that is not viewed as harmonious. It tends to come with challenges, with lessons, with obstacles, with, blockages, some would say. But it's there in the end to bring about good thing when we harness our free will in a positive way to deal with the square, and when we learn from the square. So it's not bringing a bad thing. It just might be the things that it's bringing are coming via a frictional method, if we can think of it that way. So Psyche in your first house adds a focus on personal identity and authenticity in this time frame and with this new moon. And also, first house is also looks, right? Your I am statement as well. How also you kind of interact with the world and how the world views you. And so this new moon is encouraging you to align your public persona with who you truly are, whether it's by changing your I am statement, or whether it's by changing, that's more mindset, internal work, or whether it's actually something like with your appearance or how you act. This aspect may spark a new beginning in how you present yourself professionally, a new beginning maybe on your looks, maybe you're undergoing some kind of change in your looks, where something happened that sparks you to want to make that change, or also in the public eye. So at this time, you might consider embracing a role or a goal that feels uniquely suited to your values, making sure that your professional life resonates with your true self. You might be questioning how your career, does it actually align with my I am statement? This could be a time where you're asking yourself, are the decisions I'm making professionally, is where I'm at or where I want to go? Does it link to who I want to be, who I really am? Is how I'm being perceived, does it actually match who I want to be perceived as? Or do I have to change something about myself to further my career? Is that something I'm willing to do? And in some cases, does that even tie to appearance? Is there something I can change appearance-wise, maybe how I dress, that can help with the career? These are things that are coming up in this time. Overall, this new moon is really a catalyst for your professional growth and for your authentic self-expression in terms of your career, your vocation, your place in society, and your reputation. So consider setting intentions around launching a project or taking on responsibilities that align with your long-term goals, exploring career paths that offer both personal fulfillment and financial stability, streamlining your daily routines or work habits to boost productivity and well-being, overcoming fears around visibility or leadership, allowing yourself to step confidently into a role that showcases your talents. This is really a time for you to shine professionally, and it's really a time to help create a legacy that for you is rooted both in your authenticity, but also in your ambition. And this could even be a time for you to start new projects, new things that are more not related maybe to the career you're doing, but to the career you want to have. So don't just think of this in the short term. Think of it, right, and with this scorpionic intensity, the scorpionic ability to look at the bigger picture, and the scorpionic ability to also take and transmute and create. It's birthing time. Scorpio is death, which means it's rebirth, right? So that's one way, a very powerful way to think about it. Hello, my beautiful, 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 beautiful Pisces. You got 4 beautifuls because you are also my ascendant. Okay, so this new moon happening at 9 degrees of Scorpio on November 1st brings fresh energy to our 9th house. And I want to say as well, because I'm going to be posting this after November 1st, and I'm sorry if you've heard me say this for other signs and I'm repeating myself, but the new moon energy, the new beginnings that come with the new moons, the new things the universe are ushering you to pay attention to in your life, the things that you're being invited to set intentions on in this time frame, it's not just a one-day thing. It's not just about November 1st, the day of the new moon. The energy, the archetypal thematic themes tied to how it comes up for you in your chart will start to make itself really present and known a few days before. I like to say 3 days before is the rule of thumb, to 3 days after, but it's really beyond that. The day of the new moon is kind of like the day you plant the seed, but it's really the phase from one new moon to the next. So it's really from this Scorpio new moon up until right before the Sagittarius new moon, where these themes and these new beginnings are relevant. And taking this a step further, it's kind of like this new moon is opening a cycle that will have a culmination, whether through an expansion or through an ending, in 6 months' time at its paired full moon in Scorpio happening in Taurus season. So whenever you listen to this, it's going to be after November 1st for sure, because that's when I'm posting it. After November 1st, it's going to have relevance for you. The other thing I want to say is, if you didn't listen to the beginning, I highly recommend it, because I talk about other things to do with this new moon, including the timing relevance and the numerological relevance and significance as well. That makes this an especially transformational, magical, and intuition intensive time. All right, my Pisces brethren, the 9th house where we're having these new beginnings, and it's not just the 9th house, by the way. This is what I hope you'll see with the readings I do. I don't just look at where the new moon is. It's predictive astrology is so much deeper. I have a little bit of a pet peeve with, and not to say there's right or wrong, and I don't mean this with judgment, but astrology is so deep and so multifactorial, and it's so much more than just, okay, full moon, what house? Okay, new moon, what house? Okay, what sign? It's really like aspects are a very big deal. Rulership is a very big deal. Blending the energies is a very big deal. And of course, with predictive astrology, it's more accurate when you actually look at like a client's personal chart to really understand what's happening and also how that energy is being balanced. But all of this is to say, keep listening, because we're going to talk about forecasts happening in other parts of your life as well, because it's not just in your 9th house, just because the new moon is in the 9th house. But anyway, our 9th house, I'm saying our because it is ours, governs beliefs, higher learning, travel, philosophy, spiritual exploration, foreignness. So it could be like foreign travel, foreign language, foreign learning, foreign religion. It could also be, when I said higher learning, it's things like higher academia. It could also be spiritual topics. Astrology is associated as well with the 9th house. Same with things like tarot reading, spiritual leaders, deep philosophical beliefs. So when we say that, it's like you're really like your worldview, your world belief, your religious belief, your foundational beliefs of this world. Things like, do I believe the government is on my side? Is this lying to me? Is the media corrupt? Am I being misled? What is my view on free will? Do I think, all this kind of stuff. Conspiracy theories, I think, can even be thrown into here, right? Okay, so this is really, the new moon is giving you an invitation to broaden your horizons. And it's doing that with a lot of that scorpionic energy, okay? Scorpio, love Scorpio. That's one of the signs that really gets bad rep. Scorpio is about death and rebirth. It's about transmuting the dark into light. It's about a phoenix rising from the ashes. it's about incredible abilities of perception, of detective work, of thinking. It's about the ability to zoom all the way out and see the bigger picture, but then zoom all the way in and not let a single detail miss you, because that's Scorpio. That's the intensity and passion that Scorpio brings to everything. Scorpio is also the most passionate out of all of the signs, in my opinion, and we're talking this as an archetype, right? So even though I'm a sun in Libra, I have a lot of Scorpio, Scorpio stellium, hence maybe my bias, but it's also, Scorpio is one of the signs, top two, arguably I would say the first, most deeply connected to the realms of the spiritual, okay, with Pisces. Honestly, okay, no, I put them together, Scorpio and Pisces both. I just think it happens in different ways. Scorpio is also the sign of sex, right? Associated with that, they tend to have the highest drive. Again, we're talking in archetypes, and that it's the kind of soulful intimacy though, and also soulful relationships, like very much till death do us part, very much like Tantra, very much Gomez and Morticia Adams. That's what I mean when I talk about passion and intimacy in the Scorpionic sense. So when I'm talking about this fresh energy, this new beginning that's governing your beliefs, your higher learning, your travel, your exploration. Remember, I also said death and rebirth. I also said the phoenix rising from the ashes. Scorpio also has this amazing ability, the energy, the archetype, to take your deepest pain, your traumas, take you when you're feeling down, put you in this kind of like a caterpillar in a cocoon, where you're able to change that and alchemize that into light, and then bam, emerge you as a butterfly. And for you to have Scorpio in your 9th house, for you, travel, spirituality, higher learning, your belief system, your integrity, spiritual exploration, philosophy, foreignness, like curiosity, all of these. Oh, by the way, 9th house also rules writing and publishing as well. All of these things are tools that you can use to put yourself in that cocoon, if you're feeling really low, really down, to transmute that. Use one of those use those things I mentioned as tools. That becomes the mechanism for your alchemization of the dark into light, to allow you to emerge as a butterfly. Listen, like Pisces ascendant, really take this into heart. I know it won't apply to other people as much, but really, if you're really feeling like you've hit your death moment, and I mean this in a metaphorical way, and you're wanting a rebirth, a phoenix rising, awaken moment, then these are levers for you to pull. And so with this new moon, there's a new beginning happening here, a new transformation happening through the mechanism of travel, a trip, higher learning, spirituality, spiritual awakening, new belief system, someone foreign, maybe even someone foreign could be coming, again, higher learning, higher publishing as well, these kind of things. Maybe you decide to schedule with an astrologer because it, again, 9th house is astrology too. Hello, putting myself in here. Okay, that was a guiltless plug. Okay, so this is really, one way or another, it's an invitation and a new beginning for you to broaden your horizons, whether through education, spiritual practice, spiritual routine, planning an adventurous journey. New beginnings could really involve you diving deeper into a field of study, or exploring a new culture, or embracing philosophies that expand your view of the world. Now, to really also understand what this new moon is doing and what it's bringing in for you, we have to look at the rulerships, like I said earlier. And the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. And Mars right now is transiting, is in Cancer, and that will be transiting your 5th house. And okay, listen, I love love. And 5th house is to do with romance and dating. It's not love like 7th house marriage love, but it's still, that kind of fun, lighter expression of romance. And within this month, it will go from 28 degrees of Cancer to 29 degrees of Cancer, which is the critical degree, before Mars switches over to Leo. What does that mean? So with Mars in your house of creativity, of inner child, of children, of romance, of flings, of entrepreneurship, of leadership, of creating things, of having the spotlight on you, of embodying your true self, of speaking your truth, of putting yourself out there, of feeling joy, of exploring your hobbies, this influence adds enthusiasm and drive to self-expression, and it's giving you opportunities for new beginnings here, and it's a time to set intentions and to work on all those things I mentioned. You may be feeling inspired to take risks. You may be feeling inspired, or you might be pushed. The universe might be like, you know what, I'm not going to wait for you to feel inspired, and come in and kick you to start a creative project, or even to reapproach romance. Reapproach, because Scorpio is death and rebirth, baby. I don't know if I talk like this in my daily life. Anyway, you might be, so I was saying that you might be, encouraged. And this is so funny because, again, this is my ascendant, and literally like maybe 1-2 days before the new moon, I started on dating apps again. I should not say this in case someone I'm talking to is... Okay, I'm gonna stop. But this is an opportunity for you to approach romance with a fresh perspective. Not just that, I also came back from a massive trip to somewhere in South America that really was like a rebirth for me. And next week I'm traveling again. So again, just an example of how accurate astrology can be. And also, you know, this could be anecdotal for you to understand how this energy is coming. I'm also a writer, and during this time frame, I am doing writing projects, I'm querying, and during this time frame, guess what? I just launched this channel. And what is the 9th house? And I told you 9th house is publishing, but it's also spirituality, and it's also the house for astrologers and writers. And I am an astrologer. I'm publishing this channel during this new moon. This is just, again, the synchronicity. I'm realizing this as I'm talking to you is just so profound. So anyway, the critical degree that later Mars will be on, the ruler of this moon will be on, signifies a turning point in how you're experiencing joy and your own passions, and how you're actually living your kind of inner child dreams, and your romance, and you know, these kind of really light 5th house elements. And so this new moon is really encouraging you to follow your heart's true desires. This is an energy of joy, and it's an energy connecting joy and your inner child and creation to the higher realms, to spirituality, to expansion of your soul. Okay? All right. Well, one thing that's very important for you, by the way, as well, my fellow Pisces, Pisces risings, or suns and moons, if you're also listening to this, is your 7th house is, never mind, I'm thinking of something else. Okay, scratch that. So, we also have this new moon trining Saturn in Pisces, and a trine is a harmonious aspect. It's a good thing, basically. And Saturn is a strong planet, one can say. Saturn is the planet of authority. Saturn is the planet of no BS. Saturn comes in when you're not aligned and shakes up everything that doesn't belong there and forces you to realign one way or another. And often that one way or another has to do with bringing in more structure, commitment, responsibility, discipline, these kind of very authority organized things that really aren't all bad. Sometimes we need it. And right now Saturn is transiting our 1st house. And 1st house is about body. It's about, 6th house can also be about body, but in a different way. 1st house is about appearance, kind of more that way. Looks, fashion, how we groom ourselves, how we present ourselves. 1st house is also how we view ourselves and how we push that energy externally onto others, how the public views us in a way, in terms of like how we project that onto them. And also, it's kind of like the top layer of the onion that is our personality that we use to connect with the outer world. 1st house, I like to think of it like this. It's also the I am statement. And so this alignment, this trine with Saturn in Pisces in our 1st house, really supports new beginnings in self-awareness, in self-discipline. Yes, I can attest to this. A new fixation or new beginnings happening on looks and appearance. Maybe it's a time where you want to revamp your wardrobe or refocus on your fashion, or you're wondering if it's aligning with who you are, or you're feeling like you're having a death and rebirth moment and you want to make sure that it's matching in all aspects that have to do with you as well. and it's really helping you to take on a mature approach to personal goals. For example, the last 3 days, I found this AI fashion app that allows you to upload your whole wardrobe, and then it uses AI to help you outfit plan. And I had been feeling like, I kind of wanted to revamp and refocus a little bit on how I'm dressing and how much this might match what I feel were internal soul shifts that came after my trip. And this is just one example of how this trine between the two houses, the 9th and the 1st, can be taking place. So it's really an ideal time for you to set intentions around presenting yourself authentically to you. And also, does that align with your I am statement? Do you need to revisit your I am statement? Did you forget who you are, who you want to be? Are your actions aligning with that? Is how you dress aligning with that? Is how you groom aligning with that? Is how you walk and talk aligning with that? But especially in ways that reflect your internal growth, reflect your spirituality, reflect your philosophical beliefs. We also have the secondary ruler, the modern ruler of Scorpio, of this new moon, Pluto, at the critical degree of Capricorn, the 29th degree, which is in your 11th house, our 11th house. And not just that, but actually Pluto here is being squared by this new moon. And squares are a friction-based, friction, you can tell I'm a writer, right? I said fiction, a friction-based aspect, meaning it comes with lessons and obstacles, and it's not harmonious, it's not easy, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, right? Squares are there to bring growth somehow. That growth just comes through friction, and that growth is dependent on your free will of how you utilize that friction. Okay, so Pluto's square from your 11th house of social networks and dreams is really challenging you to evaluate the role of your friends and communities in your life, and how their roles kind of play a part in your life and in your path. So you might be feeling the need to distance yourself from groups that don't align with your values, or pursue social goals that maybe feel more meaningful. This is a square that is really encouraging a transformation in how you engage with communities, ensuring that it supports your personal growth. Okay, and lastly, this new moon is squaring Psyche in Aquarius, which is passing through our 12th house. I work a lot with Arabic signs and asteroids. I said that in reverse because Psyche is an asteroid. But these Arabic signs and asteroids are two kind of celestial elements that I think a lot of astrologers underlook the importance of. And I'm going to make a whole video about it, but I just wanted to throw that in there in case you're wondering why I'm talking about Psyche. Psyche is an asteroid. And it's right now transiting our 12th house. So this position in our 12th house really highlights subconscious beliefs, spiritual insight, spiritual connection, and our mental health. And the square may be prompting, I'm going to say you, I'm going to stop saying us because my brain is getting confused. The square may be prompting us to confront any hidden fears around exploring new ideologies or embarking on a personal adventure. But it's also kind of encouraging you to have a death and rebirth moment when it comes to your mental health, a death and rebirth moment when it comes to, your connection with spirit, maybe through prayer or other spiritual practice. When it comes to also isolation, 12th house is about isolation. So you may be feeling drawn to explore your inner worlds, healing any past limitations that are holding you from embracing new opportunities. And I feel like a mechanism to help with this Plutonian and Scorpionic rise and transmutation is utilizing spiritual practices. Definitely very important in this time. And if you are feeling called to be in isolation, to really sit there. So this new moon for you is truly a beautiful time to set intentions around exploration, expansion, learning, travel, trips, publishing, spirituality, astrology, but also consider perhaps focusing on enrolling in a course or study program, or reading a self-help book, that aligns with a personal passion, planning a trip or a retreat to broaden your horizons, both physically and mentally, or maybe connecting with people or groups that encourage your growth and curiosity. If you're feeling like the people that are surrounding you are somehow not filling your cup in the way that you want to grow, consider how to make up for that. And letting go of any limitations that prevent you from experiencing the world fully and openly. And also lean on that joy, the creativity, the passion as well. This is a period that's encouraging Pisces to really embrace a new journey of growth, discovery, and self-expression. You know, I just realized we ended Pisces now, but this was my longest out of all of them. And I fear that people are going to think it's because I'm a Pisces ascendant myself. So if anyone else is listening to this, I promise Pisces did not get more info. I was just more chatty, and I gave more anecdotal stories tying back to my own life. So Pisces, I hope you enjoyed getting almost double the time as others. That will definitely, hopefully not be the case in the next video. But I guess that shows kind of the free flow and transmission of the channeling of everything that's coming through. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy your reading. Your extra long reading. Thank you so much for being here for this new moon in Scorpio forecast and for my very first video on YouTube. This is so exciting. I'm just gonna say, since you are new and I'm new and we're new together, at least on here, that I do personal readings, and the links for that are definitely in my bio. And I do all sorts of different natal chart analysis and also predictive astrology charts and readings. I also do tarot. I've been reading tarot for, how old am I? 16 years, Jesus Christ. And I also do past life regression. Since especially this channel is so new, if you've enjoyed this, if this has been useful, if this has been more informative or brought new angles or new way to think about some of these, aspects of astrology, and I mean aspect in a non-astrological sense, then it would mean so much to me if you could subscribe, comment, turn on notifications, because this channel is brand new and anything and everything you do will help me so much. On top of that, I'm actually running a special. So when I hit 30 subscribers, I'm going to pick 1 to 2. So if I pick 2, it'll be a 1 in 15 chance. I think I will. Okay, you know what? I'm going to pick 2. My first 30 subscribers, I'm going to pick 2 people at random for a free 60-minute, 1-hour reading, astrology reading, unless you choose to use it for tarot instead. And for tarot, it could go on to an hour, but normally it's 45 minutes. To get a chance, all you have to do is subscribe and turn on notifications. However, you should know that I can only see subscribers if you have those settings set to public. So if you don't have those settings set to public, comment below on this video to let me know that you subscribed. And once I hit 30 followers, I will pull that draw and I will find a way to reach out to you. Maybe I'll announce it in a video actually. And even if you do have those settings on public where I can see who my subscribers are, if you comment on this video at all, it doesn't have to be that you've subscribed. If I can see it, at least I have to be able to know. But if you just comment on this video in general, then that's going to increase your chance. So I will count your name twice, basically, when I do a poll. Thank you so much. Honestly, I really appreciate it. This is my first video. And I know perhaps I'm guessing I'm going to guess that I might not edit it as much. It might just be fully raw. But I hope you've enjoyed the really deep astrological knowledge. Astrology is something I love so dearly, and it is one of my fortes in life that I've been drawn to since I was young, but I just truly adore, and I'm really loving being able to bring this and give this to you. Okay, thanks, and catch you next time.